Welcome everyone to the return of the Racist War after a brief hiatus. I am Fenian, I'm joined by Nosy and Leroy today.
Hey,
Kind of cold day, but anyway. Apologies for the temporary break. I was actually on holiday and I was supposed to fit in an episode like the day before I was going to leave. But no, I actually, because I'm so exciting, I took a holiday to Adelaide for a week. And, you know, like, 'cause Adelaide used to have a reputation for being, like, super boring. But then I think they kind of lost that reputation because Perth took over in that regard. So, but,
it's all relative. It's all relative.
Well, look, everything to me in Adelaide seemed to just be like 10% bigger than Perth, you know? And population-wise and everything, they are actually, you know, just that little bit bigger than us. Now, of course, it was not as busy as like Sydney or Melbourne, but that's good, you know? Like, I had no issue with that. And the one thing I really noticed and liked about Adelaide was they don't have a problem with traffic congestion, or at least not what I noticed. We rented a car, so I drove around like the suburbs and the city centre, and never once was I frustrated by like there being too much traffic. So that was like way better. And Adelaide's also greener. Like there's more parks and ovals and stuff than there is in other capital cities, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there's quite a bit of concrete jungle, urban sprawl going on over here, and I've been to Sydney, I've been to Melbourne. Yeah,
Sydney's the clusterfuck.
I've been to Adelaide. Yeah.
But yeah, also Adelaide have preserved like a lot of their older houses, like, you know, houses you can clearly see were like constructed in like the 20s or the 30s or so. Here in Perth, like we've either bulldozed them or we've just like turned them all into like doctors' practices or something.
So you see a lot of that with heritage kind of listing of pubs and all that. Is you basically get to keep these fancy pubs, but also fancy houses, and it's what keeps kind of the old fancy buildings, even if sometimes they cut it in half and turn it into two buildings. Very obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, no, being in the construction industry, like I'm literally overviewing and looking at these fucking projects to get, like, it won't be like a heritage listed one, but they'll go and they'll find these like old style buildings, and like the best option is what you see in Cottesloe over here in Perth, where they keep the front of it as a facade, and then obviously they hollow out the back. But I've seen just bulldozing operations where, you know, it's a mid-century built thing or a Federalist style built thing, and then they just fucking demolish it and create a concrete, glass, and chrome monstrosity multiplex apartment.
Okay, well, we'll get to the news of the day. We are going to start on immigration, our favourite topic. And yesterday, 19th of October, we had the second March for Australia rally that again occurred in the capital cities. And as expected, it wasn't as big as the first one, of course. But look, I think the crowds were still impressive enough. There were even fewer counter-protesters than there were last time. So Nolsey and I were at the Perth one, of course, and we got thoroughly wet.
Yep.
My shoes were completely soaked by the end of it. And then I had to walk to the train station on the way back, and it rained some more on me. So, but, you know, it was all for the country. It was all for Australia. So,
all for the cause.
Yeah. So, we took a different direction this time. We didn't go to Parliament House. We were sort of assembled in front of a migration office, though. And there was some funny scenes. There was this African woman who was she must have lived in this apartment. She was a few stories up, and she was overlooking us and flipping us off with both hands and screaming.
I'm so pissed that I
incomprehensible.
fucking missed that. I am so genuinely pissed because by the time I got there, like literally there was police talking to this one lady in the lobby area, basically being like, "Hey, it's probably not a good idea to do that."
No,
random dude with his shirt off.
There was. Yes, he was entertaining too. I'm pretty sure he was like a semi-homeless guy, like because he was outside a hostel. If you're like 50 years old living at a hostel, then you might as well be homeless.
Oh fuck! Yeah.
Yeah, we ended up fucking talking about that after the fact, didn't we? Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, the speakers I think were a little better this time. They actually talked about the Anglo-Celtic foundation of Australia. But trusted to Rob Caddies though, who unfortunately was speaking again at that time. He had to go and mention Kathy Freeman. How she represented Australian unity at the Olympic Games in Sydney. And like he was
that was weird because I talked to the One Nation staffers at the beginning of it, and they said that he wasn't going to show up. So what the fuck changed between 30 odd minutes?
Yeah, because I thought he was like sufficiently traumatized by Hagen Palm in the last one, where Hagen was the leader of NSN in Perth, by the way, because he was holding up the megaphone and chanting, and Rob Caddy's microphone was not working, so everyone was calling on Hagen to pass the megaphone over to him.
Oh, that was comedy gold.
Yeah. So
He'd rather not be heard.
Yeah. But no, he got in again, and he had to fucking talk about Kathy Freeman. Like what? Oh.
Yeah, it's saying something when I posted this on Twitter and even had a little exchange with What's News about it. But like the fact that the Libertarian had like a harder line speech than the One Nation candidate.
Right. Yeah, I know. So look, as you would also expect, it kicked off particularly violently in Melbourne. Now, this was not because of those marching for March for Australia. It was the counter-protesters, as it always is. And this time I was actually quite shocked to see that the police did not mince words in terms of pointing the finger at who exactly was causing the violence. A direct quote from the commissioner was actually groups on the left. That's how he described them.
But some of the footage we watched of him from all the news groups left that bit completely vacant, as in leaving it open up to being both sides did this to the fucking police.
A lot of framing by omission. So obviously they're purposely leaving out information to kind of frame it that way. ABC did that. I was listening to the shorts on the way to work. They said protests turned violent, and then there was the 7 News article which just had like the pro, like the anti-migration side protesters, and had only their image up there with protest turns violent. So that was some very interesting media work.
Oh yeah, I was not giving credit to the media. I just mean in terms of what the police said.
Yep. They were quite open down in Melbourne with who the fuck was doing this. When you watch their actual thing, they took out the rock, said these are being held at my offices, these are being held at other people, that and rotten fruit.
He did at that press conference. He actually came in, he took like the biggest rock out of the box, and then he tipped all the rest on the floor, and he's like, look at that. Like, all that stuff was thrown in my offices.
Yep.
It was a nice bit of
Wayne Cheeseman.
Yeah, now 2 police officers had to be hospitalised. One apparently with a broken hand, probably because one of the rocks smashed into him.
I heard about that one.
But believe it or not, the counter-protesters are complaining about apparently 4 of their demonstrators also needed hospitalisation. I doubt it. I think probably what happened was they got hit with capsicum spray, and they thought they needed to go to hospital when they
Because it
didn't.
burnt so bloody much. Well, I
Yeah.
can only hope that the ones with the Australian flags, the actual protesters, didn't cop a whiff of that capsicum spray. Because I remember the scenes from the other one where they basically hit both sides when they came across each other with the fucking tear gas, which would have been miserable.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's
Yep.
an unfortunate thing. I mean, because really the purpose of the capsicum spray is just to immediately disable everyone in that vicinity. So if there's a big brawl going on, the cops don't really have time to decide who started it. They simply just have to spray it at everyone to break it up, which, understandable why they have to do it that way. But yeah, it does hurt. It really does fucking hurt if you've ever had it before. I had it as part of training, so I've never actually committed a crime and then had it sprayed in my face. And I can tell you, it really fucking hurts.
I've watched that those U.S. Marines how they basically go into the capsicum spray chamber. And, they got to hold it in and breathe for like 10 seconds to make sure, they're not just holding your breath, or you got to have your eyes open in the chamber, and then you can leave and just exposing you to that. But even though you're trained for chemical warfare in the military, it is still a war crime to use chemical warfare like CS gas on people.
Yeah. They were actually firing stun grenades as well, because the lefties just got that feral.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, now they're crying about it. Now they're saying that they were subjected to police brutality, even though they're the ones who clearly started it by throwing rocks at them.
It should have happened the first time, the first march.
Yeah.
That would have dissuaded them coming back the second.
They'll say that the police actually had it coming because of the fact that they're defending Nazis. They actually do have that logic. They're like, you should be giving us free rein to violently assault these people. And if you try to stop us, well, we're going to try and violently assault you instead. That's basically what they think.
Well, that's why the Melbourne cops get the big pay, and they get their pay increased above the what is it?
Inflation rate, better than the nurses, etc.
Oh yeah, that's what you get paid for not not putting an end to these protests and being a buffer zone to enable them to keep perfectly fine. That's what your fucking job up down there.
Yeah. So we'll now discuss the actual responses on a policy level about these protests, because they do continue. And here we're talking about all protests, so the Gaza stuff, also various climate change protests, Extinction Rebellion, all that kind of thing.
The No Kings protests, because they were a pretty big media thing.
Oh, they're massive, but yeah, I mean they're not happening here. But so anyway, Jacinta Allan, the Premier of Victoria, has said that they are going to be banning the wearing of face masks, and also people who do things like chain themselves or glue themselves to structures.
You mean that's illegal at the moment? To do the whole Lauren Southern chaining yourself to something?
Yeah, that's what I always thought. Those people who like glue their hands to the road. I'm like, surely
big thing in Europe.
Surely we have something on the books that says you can't do that because you're disrupting traffic or whatever. But yeah, all of those kind of tactics are never used by our guys. We simply just march. We just want access to the street to do a march and do some speeches, and that's it. We don't want to go and assault officers or attack property or chain ourselves to anything to disrupt traffic. We don't want to do that. So,
but the masks thing seems a bit of a thing that invites reprisals to happen to our boys who have lives on the side.
Yes,
right.
Yeah, so, that's a definite takeaway.
I mean, I posted this before. I mean, look, the reason why the left wear face masks is because they commit crime, like serious violent and property crime. The reason why our guys wear masks is to stop themselves getting doxxed and losing their jobs. We use masks for completely different reasons to them. Now, I do understand this because I want to see these people arrested and jailed. Apparently, they also don't want them using it because it shields you from capsicum spray. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Apparently, the go-to is to soak it in milk. That way, you can draw it up to your eyes and wipe it down.
oh no! Now you made me think of Christopher Cantwell again because of that.
No, don't think
God.
of that. I'm talking about milk as in fucking
No.
dairies.
No,
So
back
tight.
in Seville, Cantwell got like fucking maced, and then there's this thing of him like bawling, crying, and having milk poured over his face.
Oh yeah,
Hmm.
that's what ails you, the milk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was it's fucking nuts.
When I
Just,
had it
just
done,
lipids.
I just stuck my head into like a sink of water. I don't know if the milk actually helps that much.
It's just the lipids.
If you find yourself eating chili, and you can't take it anymore, milk, chalky milk, it don't matter. Get some in you, that'll wash it away, and then you can continue punishing yourself with more chili.
Capsaicin doesn't dissolve. Yeah, you don't want to dissolve the capsaicin because it just spreads it out and makes it fucking worse. You want something that absorbs it, and fat or lipids absorb capsaicin. If you want to make the burning 100% worse, go with alcohol. Alcohol will make the burning way worse.
Wash that through your mouth.
Yeah. So look, the police commissioner was saying that all of the police that were deployed at the march should have been out there in response to the rising crime level that they have in Victoria, which is at record highs. They've never ever had crime so out of control in the state before, especially violent crime. People using weapons like machetes. I wonder who it is doing that. So, it's really ironic because anti-migration protests are out there basically saying, can we stop letting these people in who are committing horrific crimes? And you've got the left out there who themselves commit horrific crimes to continue to allow these people to flood into the country. And also at the same time, preventing police from going out there and preventing those crimes.
Yep.
I believe the commissioner actually said something like, even if every single cop was not used at the protest and they were out there just, walking the streets, being beat cops, they still would not have enough resources to deal with what is going on in Victoria. Now, you guys mentioned how, they do get paid a bit more than like your average essential service worker or whatever. That's true. But also remember, they still have a problem of mass resignations or people retiring early and that kind of stuff because people just don't want to be cops anymore for many reasons. Media vilification, the fact that you're much more likely to get assaulted or even killed now as a cop. There's
you can go to jail forever randomly.
Yeah.
And basically half of their political thing thinks that's a good thing. I mean, the population, not the police.
All right. So Philip Ruddock, who is a former Liberal minister, he was actually at one stage the immigration minister. If you remember the Children Overboard saga, he was the minister at the time. And as a result, he got painted as basically like this tyrannical Nazi immigration minister who was not letting anyone in. Whereas
It'd be a lot cooler if he was.
Yeah. In reality, just like any other immigration minister, he oversaw a rise in net migration. Something very rarely talked about when it comes to Philip Ruddock. But anyway, he came out of hibernation. I'm surprised the guy's still alive. He looks more and more like the Grim Reaper every time you see him. But he said that the coalition should not walk away from migration policy. because it sort of looks like that's what Sussan Ley wants to do. He says no, that there are actually votes to be won there. And, amazingly, I saw this footage of Andrew Bolt referencing Philip Ruddock's comments. And Bolt actually used that as an opportunity to discuss how Robert Menzies, the former leader of the Liberal Party, actually supported the White Australia policy. So in a way, he was basically saying that, it's historically true that the Liberal Party supports the White Australia policy and maybe actually might want to go back to those historical roots, or at least something like it. Now, that's amazing for a mainstream conservative commentator to say, to actually make reference to that. That's usually something that the Liberal Party want to erase from their history. The fact that, just like the Labor Party, they too supported the White Australia policy.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, buddy, we got a thing called a history book, and unless we have some sort of weird pseudo, what's it called, a revanchist is when you want to restore something like to its proper state. What's the exact opposite of a revanchist? Revisionist?
I guess.
Anyway, something like that.
Unless the history books are getting all rewritten.
Yeah.
As they probably can get away with updates to your Kindle nowadays.
Well, remember, God, you don't even need a fucking read a modern day history book, or read like a modern day academic's take on sections of history that you've lived through, and just realize how fucking wrong it is already. Yes.
Well, you know that Tony Abbott has a new book on Australian history coming out.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like an interesting read.
It might be. I still probably won't read it, though. Yeah, it's simply called Australia, A History. And, oh, wow, look at that. It's actually topping the Amazon bestseller list.
Ah, a lot of conservatives are interested in it then.
Oh, yeah, there's still heaps.
Yeah, he's one of their biggest. Fans. He's one of their biggest celebrities for the Liberals.
Yeah. Okay, now the Albanese government is set to slash the number of migrants allowed into the country under the state-nominated migration program. So this is where, each state has a certain amount of places that they can sponsor for people to come over on work visas. So, what is it? So last year's figure had 26,260 of those nominations. The government is now set to reduce that number to 20,350. So Western Australia is going to be the state with the biggest reduction. So they're actually cutting our rate by 32%, which is quite a lot. And Roger Cook, as a result of this, has already written to Anthony Albanese saying that he opposes this decision. And also Victoria, Queensland, and South Australia have said that they oppose this. Now, the most important point to be made about this is that even though, yes, this is reducing the amount of state-sponsored nominations that exist, it actually has nothing on reducing net migration whatsoever. The government has all they're doing is reducing state nominations. Now, apparently the reason for this is because they're trying to get in and more skilled labor. It's another desperate attempt to get people who have trades qualifications over. And the government basically, the Commonwealth government basically thinks that the states are not handling that well.
So they think they're just sending out for any rando who can pay.
Yeah, and look,
fair enough reasoning.
Right. Yeah, fuck. They may be right. Remember that story on the Noticer that said that there was some visa scheme that only got in something like 150 skilled tradesmen when it was actually designed to take in thousands. So, the states are obviously not doing a good job in that regard, but neither is the Commonwealth.
Well,
Every time
with
they go on
Australia,
about this,
with Australia accepting the trade certifications out of India nowadays, then I guess you will get those certified people and traders. It's just they're going straight to your taxi and Uber drivers, because why wouldn't they?
yeah, or maybe they're getting those jobs and they get sacked immediately because the employer realizes they were duped and this person is actually a shit worker.
Yeah. Even if they were
Also on the table.
even if they were getting paid by the government to take them in, fuck.
Yeah. So, but yeah, like Roger Cook, for example, is using the same lines where he's basically saying, well, look, we still have a skilled labour shortage here in Western Australia, and therefore we need to import more people to do it.
Need more slaves. Need more slave allowance. Need more allowance for more slaves.
Okay. Now, final story on migration, and sort of segueing into the Gaza situation.
Yeah.
Tony Burke, the immigration minister, has commented on 600 to 700 people who have already been granted visas to enter Australia who are from the Gaza Strip. Now, the opposition is saying that many of these people have not been adequately vetted to see if they pose a security risk or other risks to Australia. Tony Burke would like to reassure you that they are. And these people, they have family connections to Australia, and they have people that we're focusing on, according to Tony Burke.
Oh boy.
He also said
that's terrible. I don't give a shit.
He said the checks have been thorough. Now, one of the Sky News talking points that they put out there is that, among voters in Gaza, around about 70% of them support Hamas.
Only 70%? I imagine every single one of these 600 to 700 odd people, because thanks for the accurate numbers. I imagine each and every one of them has had multiple family members blown to bits, fucking shot.
1 in
right in front of
33.
them.
Literally 1 in 33, and that number's going up because more bombs keep dropping.
Oh yeah.
Israel is already bombing Gaza again. Like, days
Imagine
after
my shock.
Wow.
Yeah, that rolled out like literally yesterday evening, and everyone's reaction was like, "Yeah, no shit." I was live streaming, and people were bringing it up. And I was just like, "Well, no shit."
Did they end up giving up all their prisoners?
No.
Around 2,000.
Oh, they gave up 2,000 prisoners. Oh, that's enough.
Yeah.
Time to blow up the rest of them.
Well, like Hamas said that they still have bodies of dead hostages, and now they won't release them because of the fact that the Israelis are bombing them again.
Yeah, I can imagine so. But fuck. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we all know how this was going to end. So I don't think the question was like, would this get violated? And I don't think anyone in the audience needed that question answered either. It was more of a when, like how much patience, how much patience do these rabid murderous Zionists have? Yeah,
come on, Trump. Where are you being based? The fucking 2 weeks have passed. You fucking dropped bombs on Iran. Fucking where's the Bu-2 bombers hitting the artillery positions of the IDF? Huh?
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, but look, I don't want those Palestinians here. All right.
Oh no, they're going to be awful people for Australia.
Yeah,
and also if I can chop it, with a pair of scissors, attack it both ways. Us taking these people in is adding to the ethnic cleansing of Gaza by taking these people out of there. To relocate, whatever the heck the genocide side routine says, the definitions of it, to relocate, to make it impossible to live there. Yeah, we're fucking by us opening our arms up, we're making it impossible for them to live there because, you're basically forced to leave country. I won't be surprised if they mass deport the people unwillingly at some point. Just round them up and export them to our fucking shores so they can be our problem. Because they're not going to be our ruling class's problem. They're going to be our problem.
They wanted to do that, or they just wanted to just decimate the population completely in Gaza, I think. They've realized that they can't do that. Their international reputation has taken an utter beating. So doing operations like that would be disastrous for them. They don't have United States support to do that either. And, the fact that they did this massive prisoner exchange in itself acknowledges that, they've lost this. Debatable as to whether you can say Hamas won, but they certainly had a victory of sorts diplomatically, considering they had 2,000 prisoners released. And, you don't do deals. You don't negotiate with an enemy who has been obliterated. You negotiate with an enemy who has leverage. And at the very least, Hamas has demonstrated that they have leverage.
Well, hopefully they didn't give up too much leverage because everybody knows they would have done this.
Right. So look, in terms of the Australian involvement, so far no request has been made for Australian personnel to help in what they call the Future International Stabilisation Force. So that was part of the the ceasefire plan for Gaza. So there is still the potential, though, that the ADF may be requested to make some kind of contribution to that.
Well, if you're a reservist or somebody in the ADF and listening in, and you're offered the position to go there, you're risking your neck. They have shot at more tenuous, shot at people in the more tenuous positions than if you were to go there and sit your ass there. They'll make a martyr out of you for their side. And I'm talking. I could basically say both sides in that.
And I would say that the risk further increases if you go there to deliver aid, especially if you're driving an aid truck. If you're driving an aid truck, Israel will take that out. Don't do it.
They'll kill you and
even if you
weapon.
Even if you telegraph your position to the IDF, they might just do it more because you did that. That's more incentive for them to blow you the fuck up.
Oh shit, we know where they are. Murder those people. They're feeding our enemies. They're giving them drinkable water. Fuck.
Yeah. You would be better off actually saying that you're from Hamas. You would have a less chance of getting blown up that way.
Fuck.
Okay.
That's awful.
Okay. Now, in Victoria, we're talking about the pro-Palestine protests now. They've said that the recent pro-Palestine protests have absorbed more than 25,000 police shifts in the past 2 years, which is obviously draining frontline resources from getting out and just fighting everyday crime. So the Chief Commissioner, Mike Bush, has said that they need to think differently about how protests run. He said that doing marches, he basically wants to see an end to that. He's like, look, if you want to gather in one spot and do some speeches or whatever, that's okay. But every time you guys march around the place, shit gets fucked up. You're draining resources. You're causing disruptions to business, to traffic, etc. And, he does have a point. Because these protests are happening like almost on a weekly basis. Obviously they should be allowed within reason. Otherwise we wouldn't be able to have our March for Australia rallies either. But, when you do it week after week after week and you cause severe disruptions to the CBD and everything that goes on there, well, you do need a question like, Are you taking the piss? Are you just a perpetual drain on public funds? And is that a good idea when we have an out of control crime problem in Victoria?
Mm.
Well,
Mm-mm.
probably
Well,
not.
it's not a Wall Street kind of protest where you just stand into one place and be polite about it. It's a creating trouble protest for the pro Gaza routine, or for the fucking stop migration one. It is kind of circulating protest until the will of the people is heard. Fucking awful for the economy, but then do a cost benefit analysis and do what the people say. That's easy. Because fucking hostage situation, well, it's the people. Fuck.
Okay, so now going to Sydney. Palestine protesters actually they went all the way to the High Court to fight some anti-protest laws, I guess, is what you could say here. So this restricted assembly near places of worship,
Mm.
and it was all based on a whipped up and manipulated anti-Semitism crisis. Well, the Supreme Court actually ruled in their favour. They said the 6-month-old law impermissibly burdens the implied constitutional freedom of communication on government or political matters and is invalid.
Hey.
So there you go.
All right.
Constitutionally invalid. Now, this was, obviously pandering to Sydney's Jewish community. You remember we had like that incident where they were outside a synagogue in a heavily Jewish suburb of Sydney. I forget which one it was.
Oh god, Avi was there. He was having a cry.
Of course, he was.
Probably Waverley.
So they said, "Well, okay, we'll pass laws basically making it illegal to protest outside a synagogue." Well, thrown out. Can't do that.
Oh shit! I guess where the next protests are going. I guess. Fuck. I'm talking about the Gaza one because they're at it again. Well, time to start fucking getting those Palestinian flags out again. Would be the cry of the lefties.
I'm pretty sure that when that one happened, like a church got burned down in Sydney. Do you remember that?
Yeah, but who cares?
And no one covered it. I don't think I was even aware until like 2 weeks later or something.
Yeah.
I found out about it. And no one covered that at all.
Well, actually, if it'd been one of the Maronite Catholic, the Lebanese churches, that would probably be probably stop riots. Fuck.
You probably have to ask, what was it, crime or religiously motivated?
It's hard to tell, isn't it?
I mean, I'll bring this up just because it got a little bit of coverage in America by one of those like popular streamers. But yeah, Friendly Jordy's situation, Jesus, they finally busted that guy.
The guy who tried to firebomb him, did firebomb him.
Did, yes. They investigated, found out, and career criminal type, and then Friendly Jordies was annoyed that like the media were like, oh yeah, he had like a hard life and It's like, aren't you left leaning? Aren't you okay with that kind of messaging? And it was super pissy about it. And I was like, but hey, is it different when it happens to you?
Yeah, lay on the park bench. Fuck.
The guy who did
God.
it, wasn't he basically just a crim for hire? Like he didn't have anything to do with these. Like, so I mean, that's the real question: who actually hired him? Who paid him to do that?
They know. The police know. Everyone fucking knows.
What, the gambling lobby?
Yeah, the Al Madini or some shit. I can't remember the name of the crime family, but yeah, very obvious. Lebanese crime family, heavily involved in gambling. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember their name now either, but yeah, I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yep. I hope you're ready for Palestinian crime families. They're coming over by the boatload.
That's the thing. I mean, because you're talking about Arabs, all right? And Arabs are Semites who are just lower IQ and lower impulse control. You know, that is not good. You take lots of those people over here, you'd start to see Arab criminal networks form.
What? Well, actually, here's the thing. If I remember correctly, when Israel was taking over the place of Israel Palestine, there was about 15% of the population was Catholic. It's like 2% now. Oh, Catholic, bloody Christian. I mean, so,
yeah, because they all left.
Oh yeah.
But still, the majority of Lebanese that we took in Australia, including during the Lebanese Civil War, was still Muslim.
Yeah.
A lot of them just lied. A lot of them said, "Yeah, we're Maronite Christian or whatever it is,"
And we're being persecuted. Let us in. Oh, fair enough. Wham bam, thank you, ma'am. They're going straight to the mosque.
Yeah, and straight to heroin as well.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, Florida, we can hear you breathing into the microphone, or if that's wind or something.
Sorry, might be at an angle. Yeah, let me point it further out for me.
Okay, so there was this analysis done. There's a news site called Deep Cut News. I'd never actually heard of them before. But anyway, they actually analysed the data that's available in New South Wales about the anti-Semitic hate crimes that have occurred. Now, Chris Minns claimed that there was over 700 incidents recorded, I think, in the past year or so, since October 7, 2023, so a little over 2 years now. So when you looked at it, there were a number of duplicates or incidents that simply do not meet the threshold for being like a hate crime.
What, aggressive honking? Or is that still a hate crime?
Well, look, they reduced the number. Deep cut analysis of this data said that no, there's not 700, there's around 367. 117 explicitly mention anti-Semitism. 62 include mention of Israel and or Zionism. So right there, that's questionable as, if you can count that as anti-Semitism. 59 are attributed to far-right and or neo-Nazi activity. Well, I would say, again, crims for hire, getting paid to put like neo-Nazi looking graffiti up and that kind of thing. And 38 were duplicates. So sometimes they just simply recorded the same incidents twice. Now, Mark Latham, on his Twitter feed, he said that even when you go through all 367 of those ones, only 14 of them were serious, like, involved actual arson or something. So, again, it's another example of how the anti-Semitism crisis in this country is manufactured and is used as a scare campaign and a lobbying tool to get governments to pass laws like making it illegal to protest outside of a synagogue, stuff like that.
I mean, for who else were those laws made up for? For the good of the state? No, for the good of these people. And
we got a new buzzword.
They didn't want to get fired.
I was going to say we got a new buzzword these days. I mean, it's not entirely new. I think it's been around for about 2 years in Australian politics, which is social cohesion. So, and anytime there's like something that's really fucked up and is basically like, instead of admitting that's like, oh yeah, by the way, all of our shit's so fucking fragile that we need to put in like totalitarian laws to keep everyone from killing each other. Yeah, they tend to say, oh, it's for the good of social cohesion.
Yeah, what changed in the past when you didn't need this bullshit and now? I mean, you had the bits of rivalries between the Anglos and the Irish sitting here in Australia.
Remember Chris Minns actually said that multiculturalism in Sydney is often fragile. That's the way he described it. Really?
Yep.
If it's our if it's our strength, then how could it be in this forever precarious position that needs to be backed up with authoritarian laws for the sake of social cohesion? There's just no need to talk about threats to social cohesion when you have a homogenous population. By default, it is already cohesive.
Yep, people can sort their own shit out and come to an
Yes.
agreement. When you're going over alien lines, you're fucked.
I mean, do the police ever have to talk about threats to social cohesion in Iceland, for example? No.
Maybe soon.
Well, they might have to, buddy. I mean,
Well,
there
eventually.
was a threat to social cohesion because they banned circumcision, and then that one rabbi freaked the fuck out and got the state of Israel to boycott them literally overnight.
Oh my god! Why
That's
is
that
there
one?
a rabbi?
That's some strong social cohesion.
Literally, I think that the only reason why there's a rabbi in Iceland is just so Israel has a dude on the ground, has literally a fixer if they need to send a Mossad agent over there. I'm not joking.
Yeah.
That's my legitimate theory.
Oh, no. Yeah. All right. Okay, so the Liberal Party or the Coalition have announced a coalition reshuffle of the frontbench. This is because, Jacinta Price and Andrew Hastie have both had to go to the backbench. So one of the beneficiaries here has been Julian Leeser, the Jewish Liberal Party MP. He is now the Shadow Education Minister. And he's used this new position to attack Australia's universities. And he is continuing his campaign for a judicial inquiry into university campuses across the country for, you guessed it, promoting anti-Semitism. So he said, this goes right from the very top. I think there's just been weak leadership from too many of our institutions. This is an issue right across the sector. It's so ingrained, and that's why we need a judicial inquiry into anti-Semitism on campus. So look, Albo did respond here. There's actually just a general inquiry into racism on campus, and they made it so that the focus would actually be on Aborigines, even though it would look at racism across the board. And I've got a new theory. I think that both the Labor Party and the Coalition have their own master race. The Coalition thinks the master race is the Jews, whereas Labor think the master race is Aborigines. I honestly think that.
If they weren't so cynical.
Yeah,
taking them at face value, yes. Taking them at face value.
In terms of how they craft their policy platform, it really does seem that way. Labor must do everything they can for Aborigines. The Coalition must do everything they can for Jews.
I would put it more like a totem pole. Wherever you put Jews, wherever you put Aborigines in this totem pole. And that's what matters to this man. As in, do they have our fucking near-on political officers at those inquisitions looking at who is on top and yep, it's the Aboriginals? Or do they look at it on top and say, yep, it's the Jews? Because I can imagine it's not the Jews at the moment because of the victimization
who's the real symbol of the sort of master race in Australia? It's Thomas Mayo because he's half Jewish and half Aboriginal. He fits both circles.
Oh yeah, fucking highest class.
You forgot about him, didn't you?
Extraordinary breeding.
I did forget about him.
Oh man, he's a Jewish communist Aboriginal. He fits all three circles in the Venn diagram of fuck shit in this country.
There you go. Yeah, one of them practiced what they preached, and you get him.
Okay, finally on this section, you've had a teenage girl, or at least she was teenage at the time, the one who attacked Josh Burns's office. So he's Jewish MP from the Labour Party. But this woman, Matilda McDermott, she's actually had charges against her dropped. This is not because she didn't do it, but it's because she fulfilled a diversion plan. So that includes, here's a beauty, that includes a $2,000 donation to the Asylum Seeker Resources Centre.
Oh.
Plus other shit, which was probably community services and whatnot. So she definitely didn't get away with it. She just avoided kind of having a record. That's all. All right. Very interesting story to cover on voting. So this covers voting patterns in terms of what types of people are voters likely to vote for. And when I say types, I mean things like race. Are people more likely to vote for an Indigenous candidate? Are they more likely to vote for a white candidate? Well, we've actually got the data in now. This was a poll of 4,000 Australians, and it said that those who are left-leaning are actually more sympathetic to dark-skinned Aboriginal men running for office than other white men with similar candidate backgrounds or qualifications.
I don't see very fucking many of them. Fucking hell.
Now, on the other hand, on the right, voters were more likely to prefer white candidates compared to dark-skinned Aborigines. So, how about that? No surprise with the left-leaning ones. Like I said before, well, their heroes are Aborigines. They see them as the master race. So they fall over themselves to want to vote for them and support them. And, this is why I also think that it was completely pointless of the people running the No campaign for the Indigenous Voice of Parliament to prop up as, by far the leaders of the campaign, Warren Mundine and Jacinta Price, two Aborigines.
Oh, yeah.
There was no need.
I was saying at the time this would negatively affect the campaign, doing my based-isms. Fuck, even my based Aboriginal one at the front of the protest fucking yesterday. Jesus.
But I don't exactly agree with that, because it can muddy the waters for the people who are just following programming and saying, "Well, dark man can be like, oh, maybe I've confused it. Should I vote for yes? Because dark man says no." So I think it gave some disruption to cognitives, because decades and decades have gone into people, and if you're on the left hand, you're the result of all that propaganda into associating better with the darker skinned than the whiter skinned, and that can be lost in the single generation. Kind of one whack of in-group preferences, you're gonna have to reconvert a whole population of people to not being as based anymore.
Okay, now here's one little caveat though. On the conservative right, respondents showed greater ratings of warmth and competence towards light-skinned Indigenous women than white candidates. So that means that conservatives like Aborigines when they're white-presenting, I guess.
It's like a Star Trek. It's like the Star Trekification, they've got all of these different races aboard the Enterprise, but they all act like white people because this was the 60s.
And everybody integrated. Something which is if you talk about integrating Jewish people, is a call to genocide, they say. So what did they think of that when they were doing it to us in those sci-fi shows?
This study was conducted at Flinders University and also Griffith University. Not much I know about these campuses, but I know that obviously we're talking about academics. We're probably talking about people who are left-leaning, and so I'm just going to read one of the comments that one of the researchers made. He said, "We expected to find that Indigenous people hoping to run for office would fare worse than white and Chinese Australian ones, and the darker-skinned Indigenous people would be more discriminated against than lighter-skinned ones. In fact, we uncovered the contrary, an inverted hierarchy in which darker-skinned Indigenous aspirant candidates fared better than all others. So yeah, they also looked at the likelihood of voting for white women, Chinese women, Chinese men, etc. The ones who were most likely to be voted on purely because of their skin color was actually Indigenous light-skinned women.
Right.
Wow. Okay.
I love a race mixture, I guess. Race
So
mixophilia.
is that, I'm not sure. With Jacinta Price, you wouldn't call her light-skinned Aboriginal, though, would you? She's probably, even though she's half-caste, she's probably a bit too dark to fall into that category. Funnily enough, I think a light-skinned Indigenous woman would be like Lydia Thorpe, or at least, before she did the tanning bed. Because she used to just look white. She just looked completely white, like before she went into Parliament.
Some of them start off, very light skinned, and then they get then God blesses them with the melanin. No, but dude, literally white.
Yeah, you love to see the some of them they're so white that they put the white face paint on their face and it hardly looks any fucking different.
Yeah. Fucking ridiculous. No, it's like this girl looks like she genetically came from Central Europe.
Yeah, must have been a handshake a couple of generations down that done did it.
But look, this study, if there's one thing we learn from it, it completely blows away the idea that if you're Aboriginal in the political sphere, that you run at some kind of disadvantage. It is the complete opposite. Complete opposite. You have Aboriginal privilege when it comes to politics.
And a couple of studies more down on this, and we'll basically have proof that people. Well, you need a bunch of studies, but that's how I hear it works to actually nail it down to say, yeah, this is probably right. So yeah,
but
maybe a couple of studies down. This is pretty good proof.
Not that I would expect any of our audience to be Aborigine or part Aboriginal.
My condolences
if you are listening. If you want like the best career advice, because you're actually an Aborigine with above average intelligence, the best possible thing you could do would be become a conservative grifter. You will rake in that money. You'll absolutely.
Oh yeah, just look at the ones who did it for Trump. Big money, big kudos.
And
You're the center of attention.
Didn't Mike Pinovich say more or less the same thing?
Yeah, a couple of years ago.
a lot of blacks have actually cashed in on that in America. In Australia, it's like Jacinta Price and Warren Mundine. That's it. They're the only ones. So, if you've got a bit of brains, if you can write an article, you can write a blog post, you might get a gig very quickly on Sky News.
Get that bag. There you go.
Okay.
Oh boy.
So, onto the economy, and finally, Airbus Albo is about to have an Oval Office meeting with Donald Trump.
Holy shit, it's happening.
A meeting a lot of people said just would never happen. Now, employer groups are urging Albanese to bring up the issue of tariffs by America put on Australian goods. They're claiming that more than 50% of all Australian companies have been adversely affected by Trump's tariffs. That sounds pretty accurate to me. If anything, I thought the number would be much more. I thought it would be up near 100%, actually. So no doubt that is something that is going to be discussed while he's over there. The other thing is to strike a deal on critical minerals, because there is definitely Part of the trade war that the United States is fighting with China is to do with critical minerals markets. So we're hoping to kind of improve our relations with the United States in that respect. Well, yeah, I don't know. Nolsey, you're the guy who knows a lot about this. You got any commentary on that? Are you there?
Oh, sorry. I think I had my microphone headset cut out there for a second. What was the question?
Oh, I was just wondering if you had anything to say on the trade war on critical minerals with China, and
Yeah, look, China's kind of trying to pull itself back, and it knows that they kind of do want to get more international leverage, and they know that they are currently one of the largest sources for a whole bunch of rare earth minerals that are in relation to both weapons technology and domestic technology. Again, there's also the theory that they want to do that because America is it's a navy and air and navy superpower, and basically their restrictions on selling or buying or trading these minerals can basically cripple America's navy quite rapidly.
Oh, wow!
But yeah, that's the thing people have been talking about over the past couple of days in relation to that.
All right. And do you think we'll actually strike a good deal with the United States in terms of trading with critical minerals?
Yeah, possibly not. Not really. All I expect out of that meeting is a performative roasting of Albanese by Trump, and then I don't know, business as usual. The only real interest that America has in Australia is security currently, but yeah. Also that, and we already would have to drop sales with both China and India for this because we are also one of the sources that China pulls from. So we basically it's in the past, look at our track record. When it's been a debate over if we're going to trade with the US or if we're going to trade with China, we've always historically gone for China, and then we've made it up to the US by being okay, but you get to have an extra fucking military base here. You get to have an extra lease. We will build more houses for your troops around this base using the Australian taxpayer dollar. It's the kind of stuff that Punters guy keeps complaining about.
Well,
but yeah, that's pretty much the shot there.
If Trump basically says no more minerals to China, it's going to be no more minerals to China. But yeah, it's going to upset a lot of people. A lot of people with their fortunes set here.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think I don't think push will come to shove on that. And honestly, I think
fucking around.
I think China will make some. Yeah, I think China will make some deals with America that will allow them to get trade, and they'll have some geopolitical sphere of influence concessions. If I was going to
needed to shake things up to get another empire to back a bit off. Like I said, just buying time now.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I do think that'll be the case going forwards. But I don't know. A lot of the time, we do take a lot of geopolitics on its face value on this show. Sometimes we don't. I just view it all as cynical. I think that if you're being told a reason for something on the television, it is something completely different. But that's just my 2 cents.
Okay. So the last story in the economy we have is that, well, we know that for the past few months, Jim Chalmers, the Treasurer, has been trying to sell his superannuation tax reform package, which includes an extra tax on unrealised capital gains. I really wish I'd stuck to my guns on this because prior to the election, I was saying I thought that the government would scrap this policy completely. And then I kind of reversed that position. I thought that, well, look, Jim Chalmers looks pretty determined here, and he's gone for so long saying that no changes will be made here. Well, guess what? Now they have.
Yep.
So the reform package is not being scrapped outright. However, it might as well be, because the concessions that have been made are to the most contentious issues, which was like the unrealised capital gains tax. Um, so the new threshold will have a tax on earnings that was supposed to be doubled. Now it's simply going to be indexed to the inflation rate, and the measure will not apply to unrealised capital gains. Yeah, so the most controversial parts have now been scrapped. And the worst thing about that for the government is that those were the parts that were supposed to contribute to budget repair. Debatable as to whether or not it would have raised all that much money for them. A lot of the time, the government attempted tax grabs backfire. The mining tax was definitely a good example of that, like where you had like a super profits tax of 30% that Wayne Swan introduced. That ended up raising a very, very small amount of revenue. So I don't know, maybe one of the reasons why they've decided to scrap this is because maybe they just projected that it wasn't going to raise that much revenue anyway, and there was just no point in going through with it.
Bean Counters said
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, basically, that's my take too. I remember the ABC like being really happy about this, and SBS being like, "Oh yeah, like not a lot of the public realize, but like billionaires and etc. They don't actually have like $1 billion in a bank account. They just slowly and steadily, sell like quote unquote sell their stocks, or what was it like take a loan against their stocks, and you can't be taxed on a loan, and so this is like unrealized gains. This is we'll be able to tax them on how much they're really worth, and I'm just like, well, you do realize that also that there's like things for superannuation, which they even had like a separate thing for. Now they're only going up to the $3 million bank account mark for superannuation, which by the way still like isn't enough for a stock standard retirement, but don't let that fool you. You're not going to be able to retire. I'm just going to put that out there. This generation is going to be worked to the bone. But yeah, no, they're trying to sell it that way. But as soon as look, they were saying it and trying to like glam it up a little bit. I'm just like, dude, this sounds like absolute dog shit. And I can hear like the bullshit dripping off your tongue while you're fucking saying this. Fucking was it Sumatra Goldstein or whatever the fuck that one presenter's name is? Indian first name, Jewish last name. That guy.
Oh God, that's scary.
Yeah, that is a terrible, terrible concept, isn't it?
Okay, so let's move on to housing and give you even more bad news. So Anglicare have released their annual rental affordability snapshot. So this looks at the impact of Australia's housing crisis on essential workers. So it said that full-time essential workers like nurses, aged care professionals, and teachers can only afford between 1 and 3% of all rental properties in Australia. Despite the number of rentals increasing, press X to doubt on that one, affordability has not improved, and the crisis is affecting workers in all capital cities and regional areas. Yeah, there's a lot of you hear a lot of time people kind of escape to regional Australia because they just assume they can get cheaper housing, but often, maybe it's a little cheaper, but not much. We've talked about how they even have a housing crisis up in the Pilbara. Like, people can't find a rental in the bloody Pilbara.
Yeah, people like literally in an ecological dead zone where they do mining, and there's shit tons of fucking like cookie cutter houses being built all the time to accommodate miners. Still impossible because of the rate.
Yes. Now, so what are they doing to? What is another one of the desperate measures that government is looking at so that they don't actually have to look at the primary issue, which obviously is migration. Well, here's one. Planning laws. They're looking to overhaul them. And that basically means to fast track and bypass certain regulations that are in place when it comes to wanting to build a house. And so that includes environmental regulation, and it also includes safety regulation. In other words, you cut corners, you speed up the process, and you do things that are dangerous. You construct a house that may not be structurally sound and may be prone to collapse later on. And that is what, if you look at this story here, this is specifically about Australia's legal profession and also environmental groups who are saying that these kind of laws, where they're being proposed, are going to result in serious risks and also environmental degradation. Now, look, I do agree that there is some green tape out there that prevents the development of land unnecessarily. I'm all for overhauling that stuff and minimizing that. But a lot of the regulation is there for a reason. Okay, it's there to ensure the safety of the people who are constructing the house, but it's also there to so that you have long-term integrity of the house for the people who live there. If you look at high-rise buildings in New South Wales, a lot of them have flammable cladding. And it's just considered not to be economical to go in and replace it. That is an example of where, you just start being negligent when it comes to structural integrity. And you just want to cut costs and you want to speed up the process and just build.
Well, again, the conversation I had after the protest with one of the guys, no, he is correct. There was provisions for basically a full timber frame house structure with timber trussing. The thing is, it was just when have you seen a full timber construction house with weatherboard and clad stuff and whatnot, an American style constructed house in this country?
Don't know.
Literally, I looked on company records, and there is only about 5 or 6 of them being built in this state right now. That's it. There's no historical record of them being built, and that's at multiple construction companies I've worked at. They literally just didn't have a preset template package for it because we didn't do it. Houses on stilts, maybe in Queensland and etc., but there's still a proper gyprock wall set up with that. There's still what is functionally a gypsum cavity thing. We're not talking about frames and studs here, but now we're doing that for the same reason they do it in America. It's because you can construct and build and develop more rapidly using that system.
Right, and we've got other methods like modular housing and whatnot.
Yes. Yeah,
that we're going through with. Okay, so in the Northern Territory, where around 50% of the population rent, they're complaining that they still have the worst tenancy laws in the country. So they're one of 2 jurisdictions in Australia where no grounds evictions are still legal. And that there are basically no minimum standards for rental houses. Now, you cannot ignore the Aboriginal question involved here. If you were to introduce laws against no grounds evictions, you're going to have so many cases of Aborigines who clearly should be kicked out of a house who are not. Dare I say that's the reason why the Northern Territory has never kind of regulated that area before, because they just have so many Aboriginal families who destroy houses or, just take very bad care of them or are highly disruptive to neighbours, that kind of thing. And, you need a quick way to get rid of them. The moment you actually introduce protections, well, then they can take it to court, and it's much easier for them to then argue that you're just simply being racist, and that's the only reason why you want to kick them out is because they're Aboriginal, not because of how they behave or treat the property. And also, minimum standards. Oh, geez. Aborigines will live in utter squalor, okay?
To reference an old but gold video, Living the Dream. And this shit ain't right, John. This shit ain't right.
Yeah, basically, because these people are willing to live in utter crap, if you suddenly were to regulate this to improve all of those conditions, you would increase the cost of rentals, because obviously landlords would have to clean the place up a bit, make them nicer, and then they would pass those costs on to the people who are renting them. You would make the housing and the rental crisis even worse, and you would price even more Aboriginal families out of the rental market. So, this is a case of you want to be careful for what you wish for. And don't get me wrong, I do believe in, minimum rental standards for people. And yes, I think that there should be laws in place so that you're not unfairly evicted and that kind of thing. I'm just saying, take a step back and think about why the laws in the Northern Territory haven't caught up to the rest of the country.
We're functionally two very, very different countries.
Yeah. Yeah. We're saying that we need to apply high standards to a group of people who do not apply high standards to themselves. And that's where it doesn't work. And there you've got another example of how multiracialism, multiculturalism simply doesn't work, because you are putting incompatible people in the same territory and they're at odds with each other. The uniform ways of regulating one group of people will not work to regulate a different group of people.
That's why legal systems are different throughout the world.
So I mentioned flammable cladding, which is mainly a problem, I believe, in New South Wales. So the ABC said that only 30 out of 76 buildings taking part in the government program offering 10-year interest-free loans to replace the cladding have had the work completed. Now, remember, we have seen apartment buildings just go completely up in flames because of this, because of the flammable cladding. So, yeah, they've been trying to take it out. But it's being done at a very, very slow rate. And dare I say, this would be the least of our worries. The more and more we rush housing, there's going to be, and the more and more Indians we hire as structural engineers on these building sites, the more and more industrial accidents and failures you're going to see.
Well, are you ready for a crooked, wobbling, brave new future?
Yes.
I may get to watch this shit firsthand. That's going to be wild.
Well, yeah, you can have a finger on that. But tell you what, give me half the pay you're giving them, then, and I can guarantee you, I can in a very short time replace it all with inflammable cladding.
Which is the same thing, isn't it?
Shut up.
Isn't that's a joke on The Simpsons where Dr. Nick goes inflammable means flammable? That doesn't make sense, though. Why does inflammable mean flammable?
Imagine how hard it's going to be for the Indian guy to figure that out.
Oh, God. we're getting the ones over here now that are just straight up illiterate. You know that, right? That is, I fucking ran.
Yeah,
into
they
one
do the fake
yesterday.
thing where they get somebody else to answer their words for them.
I've
Somebody
got
types
some
to them what they're
stories in
supposed to
my.
answer.
Yeah, the next time I do a fucking live stream, man, I've got some stories where it's literally like them in Australian groups being like, "Hey, look, I will take your like English literacy thing," and then like they've got it in like Sanskrit, or they've got like a voice recording because some of them can't even read the fucking Sanskrit curly words that they use over there, the alphabet.
Bloody
Okay.
chicken scratch. A good one.
Yep.
Final story on housing simply is they had a glass factory site in Queensland. The LNP now wants to turn that into a mixed-use precinct, which includes high-density housing. This was actually supposed to be used as a broadcast centre for the 2032 Brisbane Games, but now they've scrapped that because we need housing. We've just got to build. All right.
There goes another.
Okay,
have a
so
good one.
on to climate change now. Here's another reason to celebrate. A solar farm in outback Queensland has been completely switched off.
Fuck.
Not the first
Another
time.
whack into the climate industry, and a lot of whack out of our pocket.
Definitely not the first time this has happened. This time there was a solar farm in the Gulf of Carpentaria in outback Queensland. Now, the reason that the operator gave for shutting it down basically was the fact that too many people in the area that he was supplying energy to were using solar panels, and a lot of them were had an excess of power that they were putting on the grid that you get paid for. So they were just undercutting this guy. Because, yeah, I mean, let me read this sentence here. He said, low energy prices were pushing him out of the market. Now, can you believe that? Low energy prices?
Oh, that's amazing.
Brutal.
I guess all those scammers fucking calling me up wanting me to fucking stick a solar thing on my house were trying to help me in the first place because it's enough to fuck over the solar fucking industry.
Yeah. And another point to be made here is that these solar farms, they lack batteries, meaning that, you know, whatever power they generate has to be immediately put into the grid. And if there's an excess amount, they don't have anywhere to store it. And that obviously would be more economically viable for them if they were to manage it in that way. But they can't because the batteries just aren't there.
So what happens to the power? Do they just have to suddenly run out and put a fucking tarp over their solar panel? Because, oh, fuck, it's getting too hot in here. Fuck. You mean it doesn't go into the coal plant's fucking battery or something? Fuck.
Yeah, so I mean, this is just another one of those areas of climate change where the rush, you know, the speed at which they just want to roll out all of these projects, they don't really think about the details, the complexities of it. Like maybe if you encourage everyone to get solar panels, there isn't really that much business incentive for investors to build solar farms because
during
they
the
get
day
undercut.
at least. Fuck. I mean, if he had have gotten the batteries enough to last people through the night, the fucking randos up at 3 a.m. plus some people going into like 8 to 9 p.m. before they turn off their lights and keep their fans on. I mean, if you had enough power to last until that, then you'd probably be laughing at that point. But I imagine that's incredibly fucking expensive to have a giant fuck off power battery sitting there. Enough to last people for the night.
Batteries, like if someone did like a cost analysis on like, not talking about the environmental impact because that's an entirely different bag of worms, but one of those 10 kilowatt hour like Tesla batteries, and it turns out like the thing doesn't actually pay itself back.
Fuck.
Now, in spite of this, here's the next story, right? To add a bit of irony to this, the Queensland government last week unveiled their energy roadmap, and that includes a new solar panel rebate for landlords. So they're going to further subsidise solar panels that are just used on individual houses. That is going to further compete against the use of solar farms.
Anything to fight back the cost of energy nowadays.
Yeah, which can be counterproductive. I don't know. Obviously, you'd have to do a cost-benefit analysis on this, but I don't know if the government would be better off, simply focusing on solar panels for houses or business incentives for solar farms. I'm not sure which one would work out, but the fact that they're trying to juggle at the same time just isn't working.
Retarded. Look, with power generation, there's a reason why it's like a whole bunch of big ones. So like it's a few big ones rather than like a small diesel generator at the end of your suburb. I mean,
yeah,
shit's better at scale. Production is better at scale, both of kilowatt hours and trinkets.
Yep, infrastructure rules, as opposed to kind of commercialism and hook it up. It's why it's why not every one of us are a fucking diesel or petrol mechanic, and there's people who do that for us. Like computer whizzes and people who do your carpentry and plumbing for you. The major stuff, at least. Shit is clogged. Well, start going at it with the plunger. When that fails, or then you call up the plumber. Do make the effort, because if he walks in there, plunges it once, and it fucking disappears, he's going to be laughing at you.
Quickest $150 call out fee I've ever had in my entire life.
So, in South Australia, the Auditor General just put out a report, and this was on the Hydrogen Office. So this was an office that was actually dissolved in May of this year. But it said over its 3-year existence, it spent $285.2 million.
Oh my God!
And please remember this, that the Labor Party's flagship hydrogen project that they took to the last election was scrapped after they decided to instead go through with the Whyalla bailouts. So this is $285.2 million that's based simply on bureaucracy. Okay, these are not infrastructure costs. These are bureaucratic government costs.
We need to invest in a pop filter fluoride.
This is almost $300 million spent on literally nothing.
Well, Finian, during that march on Sunday, we walked past the old office. I'm not sure if you actually recognized it, but we walked past the old office of Fortescue Futures. Fortescue Futures was the green energy renewable office and department of the Fortescue Metal Group. And also, we've talked about the FMG's hydrogen programs, which are all now they're all gone. Now they're all completely gone. But yeah, I found some old guys from way back in the day because they saw me in the crowd, and I said hey, you want to know something funny? I pointed at one of the buildings, and you can still see the mark of where the sign bond cladding was, spelling out Fortescue Futures on it. You can still see the shadow of that on the building. Obviously, they're now leased it out to a whole bunch of different companies that need a little bit of office space. But yeah. I literally yesterday walked past the ghost, the grave, the tombstone of the hydrogen renewables industry. Gone.
Well, Fortescue, they're notorious for basically taking the government subsidies and then not delivering on the project. They're we'll build a hydrogen plant. Give us the money, please. And then once they have the money, they say, oh, no, we're not building it anymore.
Dude, you know what was being built under the guise of Fortescue Metal Group after that grant was given out and while we were covering it? Let's check notes. The extension on Andrew Forrest Cottesloe House.
Of course.
Yep. There we fucking go. There's your hydrogen renewables, hydrogen fuel industry. There it is. It's sitting on Cottesloe Beach. Really, some really deep piles there because apparently Andrew Forrest didn't pay attention during Bible study. But yeah.
Okay, so to talk about another study that was brought out. This is the Australian Energy Producers, which is basically like a lobby group for energy companies in Australia, and also EY, which is some kind of consultancy company. They're being accused of putting out manipulated data talking about Australia's need for gas as it transitions to green energy by 2050. Now, an advocacy group called Climate Integrity has accused them of using distorted research and points out that because they represent the energy sector, it's prone to bias. So they said the AEP's claims contradicts the views of authoritative scientific bodies internationally and in Australia, including the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the International Energy Agency, the International Renewable Energy Agency, and, of course, the CSIRO. They've said that the modelling is flawed, and there's a claim that independent analysis confirms new gas supply is needed in all net zero pathways. So
there we go.
They attack that claim. Well, yes, of course they are. What else are we going to use? We don't have the option of coal because we're shutting all that down. What else are we supposed to use?
Just LNG. LNG plants.
Good intentions. we should get a whole bunch of just stop oil protesters and just put them in a hamster wheel.
Well, here's one. Stick a fucking power line all the way over to Indonesia and have them open coal plants. There you go.
But look, I have no doubt that the EEP is biased here. But don't tell me that the Climate Integrity Advocacy Group isn't biased either. This is one of many submissions that were given to the government concerning the net zero pathways, as they say. The amount of stuff that comes from green lawfare, from green groups, environmental groups, etc., is above and beyond anything that these companies and these lobby groups can put out. We're saturated by climate change propaganda and studies that themselves actually have flawed modeling and manipulated data. So, okay, maybe this one is biased or whatever, but show me a study that isn't. They're just not there.
Yeah,
I still love back in the day, looking at all these studies and it's like, oh, okay, you've cut out cradle to grave there. Oh, okay, you're basically missing the entire manufacturing process here. Oh, okay, the levels of fuckery that they'll go to say oh yeah, no, that's not the case. That's not the case. That's this is how this works. This is viable. Da 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 da. And then as soon as there's oh, actually no, I'm discounting that because there was a researcher there that worked in the LPG industry, one of 18.
Yeah, and remember that study that said Dutton's plan for building nuclear reactors in Australia would cost $600 billion.
Oh, yeah, that one.
I remember we went through the...
Probably worth it. Probably worth it. And we go, wow, it cost sweet fuck all. It didn't cost that much at all.
How much is Snowy River?
Let's build a whole bunch more with the extra money we got fucking there. Fuck.
By some calculations, Australia has already spent over $1 trillion on green energy projects.
Whereas, guaranteed, the fucking nuclear reactor, just like all through France, would work. It would just sit there and twerk.
Yeah, I mean, Germany buys some of their own power off the French because they can't generate enough themselves. Because,
Yep.
you know,
They're not
Germany
allowed
sort of
to.
leads the way in terms of green energy.
Yeah, basically they had like super nuclear power, like a super amount of like nuclear power plants, and they went out, shut them all down, and now they're back to building coal power plants for some fucking reason.
Out of necessity for the war, I guess.
Yeah, basically.
Does fucking Germany have much coal left in it
Yeah,
after
the
this
Rhine.
many hundred years?
Look, there's a reason why there was an absolute shit fest over the Rhine in the middle of the last century, man.
Because of coal.
Yeah, coal and a lot of other shit too. But yeah, Rhine is there's like there's two types of people from North Rhine-Westphalia. It's like this like shut-in like academic type, and then this like long like the shut-in academic like left-leaning type, and then this long-suffering coal miner.
Good to see
Okay.
their jobs are still secured in actually getting the coal out of the ground. They'll probably be secured again when it comes back to going for it again.
Well, it's the Rhine is one of the very few places that's an open pit coal mine, because most of the world's other open pit coal mines are gone, and the rest of it's coal seam.
Mm.
Well, not gone,
Coal
gone,
seam.
but yeah, so coal seam.
Dangerous for people, but good for the environment. Whereas the open pit is fucking awful for the environment, but safe for the people.
Yes. So that's why I like to outsource all my coal mining to Pakistan so I can watch them suffer.
Just get in the hole.
Kinda.
If I can just tangent a little, I'm reminded of this doco I once saw when I was young called "Death of a Working Man," where it starts out with these people going into a coal mine, fucking digging it out by hand, bring it back, and these people aren't getting paid. They're in a fucking somewhere in horrible Siberia, just getting enough heating stuff to keep their houses warm so people don't freeze to death. So yeah, coal mining still going hard.
Yeah. Coal's coal, man. Just don't post it.
All right, so the next story is back to Queensland, and this is about environmental groups versus climate groups, if you appreciate the difference. So,
Tactical
environmental
versus
groups,
strategic.
yeah, they're fighting on behalf of virgin woodland and threatened species,
Which
whereas
is
the
a lot of
climate
up there.
groups are fighting for the construction of wind farms. So, what's happened here at this proposed site in Queensland is that the project is already underwritten by taxpayers. In other words, they've already done the cost estimates as to how much the project would cost. That suggests that the government is expecting it to get approved for it to tick all of the green tape and red tape boxes. That's what that would suggest.
I hope they like bird stroke.
Environmental groups don't like this. So it said they can confirm that a quarter of these projects, 5 projects, are still being actively assessed under federal environmental law to determine if their environmental impacts are acceptable or not. Well, look, I mean, wind farms are huge. They're massive.
Can be seen over the horizon.
Yeah, you've got to, you've either got to put them out in the water or you've got to go and clear a shitload of land. And once you do put them up, it's a great place to throw birds into the grinder. They fly.
Oh,
into
the wild dogs and foxes will be eaten well below those things. You're going to have a population boom of them. Just farming fucking birds.
Oh yeah, you know what also is defunct? The windmill test windmill plant up just south of Jurien Bay here in Perth.
That got deflected, did it?
Yep, got defunded. They did this long term test just to say like, oh okay, like actually like you know, in theory, they're viable for like X, Y, and Z. They're viable on this lifespan, life cycle, and whatnot. It's like, okay, so actually, how viable are they? And I'm guessing because they didn't release anything about it, the answer is no.
Well, yeah, if they're keeping it secret, fuck.
Yeah, well,
All right, so final story on climate and energy is that Rio Tinto is about to close their Tomago aluminium smelter. So there's more than 1,000 workers there, and they're looking to close it by 2028.
oh boy.
Bloody hell.
So they're putting this down to high East Coast energy prices. That makes the smelter unviable.
Well,
So how
yeah.
about that?
You know, one of the first names, first nicknames / names for aluminium was condensed electricity or electrum. Yeah, not electrum the alloy. It was also called electrum.
Yeah, I thought
Electrum.
of thinking about Electrum.
Yeah, so there's the electrum, the alloy, and then there's the old name for aluminium. And aluminium is quite literally just electricity. You dissolve you purify the ores, dissolve it in cryolite, and zap the fuck out of it, and that's how you make aluminium.
And everybody loves aluminium.
Does it give you autism if it's in a vaccine?
Yeah,
You're
possibly.
thinking of mercury.
Oh
Well,
god,
I'll-
mercury. Aluminium's a thing too. They use aluminium salts.
What does it
I
give you a
actually watched
trigger?
that. You know that debate that Professor Dave did with like the anti-vaxxers? I actually watched that, and I've gone right back to just being a pro-vaxxer again. I know a lot of people really hate me for saying that.
It
But,
saved generations from crippling diseases. There's a good
Yes,
reason to be a vaxxer.
and it does not give you autism. That is a complete myth. And the vaccines don't contain mercury and aluminium anymore. And when they took those ingredients out of vaccines, autism rates continued to climb because that's just what happens. Autism diagnoses have increased for the past few decades, and it doesn't matter how you tinker with vaccines; those rates just keep going up. Anyway, that's a completely different topic.
There we go.
Well, if you want to continue with the topic, a little touch. There is also a kind of a moral subject when it comes to it. Is that I used to at one point, not anymore. They used to use I think it was fetal cells from babies, the abortions.
Yeah,
And
there's
they used
some
to,
horrific
no longer
shit.
anymore. So yeah, they don't do it anymore. However, if the fucking morality was, if the fucking method of discovering something required you to kill a whole bunch of kids to do it, it's probably immoral to continue with that thing. Find yourself a kosher alternative than fucking stuff that took a lot of people's lives. It's a thing in Christianity to not take certain ones of those, just because of what they fucking did to get there. Yuck.
That's really a separate argument, though.
Yeah,
That's completely different to do vaccines cause harm or not? Are they beneficial or not?
The method to get these vaccines caused harm, and therefore morally you might be a bit fucking, if you believe in karma, if you take it knowing that it might be bad for you, for the soul and all that.
Yeah.
Fucking,
Well,
and now you know.
Look, there's one of our buddies that we could get on for this shit because, he knows about this stuff. He showed me the portal of medical tissue you can get. There is some demonic shit in the medical industry.
Do no harm? Yeah, right.
Yeah, no, there's some genuine demonic fucking shit. Again, that fucking sea crate full of infant fetuses preserved in formaldehyde was not a one-off thing.
The fucking shipping container over in the US. Ugh.
Yeah,
Those poor fucking workers who uncovered that horror fest.
Yep. The only reason why like people know about it because the guy didn't go through the correct processes to obtain that. He just needed to sign a handful more pieces of paper, and it would have been fine. Because he didn't do that. That's why you know about it.
All right, so onto the environment. So Queensland have announced a probe into their container refund scheme. So this is stuff like juice boxes. What they've done is very similar to like bottles and cans, where you get 10 cents on them if you return them. Well, guess what? They've actually found that there's scheme. There are conflicts of interest, unfair contracts, misleading conduct, and even bullying and harassment claims.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
Yeah, over juice boxes. But I mean, yeah, this does happen, and a lot of the time when these items are supposed to be recycled, they don't. They just end up in massive landfills, or they end up being incinerated, or something like that. They're not actually put to good use. So 10 allegations have been referred to the Crime and Corruption Commission because, well, it relates to criminal nature. And, it's called the Containers for Change Scheme.
Yeah.
It's funny how all these schemes end up they attract a organized crime element to them a lot of the time. I guess any scheme that involves a bit of money is always going to attract, some degree of criminal activity, people taking advantage of it.
Red cycle.
Yes.
Yeah, that. Tell you what, I watched one of my mates play that Schedule 1 game. It's a game where you basically pack weed, but you forgot all that.
Wait. Are we talking about the collecting trash and gambling cycle here?
Oh yeah, he so what he did was he was supposed to go pack weed, start selling it to people, but they've got a scheme here that gives me money for putting garbage in the bin. So he goes around. Oh my god, the streets were so fucking clean you wouldn't believe. He's picking up every little piece of trash, putting it in bins, fucking getting his payout, and then going straight to the casino and putting it all on blackjack. It's just desperado cycle for hours. We're watching this man. So maybe even if it is fucking, goes to the thing. If they're cleaning the streets, maybe hire them.
That was fucked, man.
Yes, for hours just going back and forth. Forget selling drugs. I'm making a fortune off this, off this fucking cleaning the streets cycle.
Well, you know who runs the recycling industry in Australia? It's a guy called Richard Pratt, who is one of the most dysgenic looking Jews I've ever seen. He's of Polish Jewish extraction. I think he's actually been listed as Australia's richest man at some stage, but he basically has a monopoly on recycling.
And, who put this guy in charge?
Yeah, well, they found that so much of what is supposed to be recycled just ends up on an offshore landfill. So,
if you're lucky, my belief is that a lot of rubbish that you put in the recycling one, it gets carted off, put into a container, gets shipped off back to India, and then gets dumped right into the sea again. So
that burns. And then it's burned a lot of the time.
Yeah, if you're lucky. And
then, I mean, that's the
horrible fucking environmental shit.
Oh god.
All right, let's go on to crime.
It's also
So, did you guys see the footage of the Asian woman who got randomly stabbed in Melbourne?
No.
I didn't see the footage.
Okay, so if you were in Victoria, you would have seen this. It's kind of gone viral over there. But this incident actually, Jacinta Allan has been repeatedly asked at press conferences if she's still willing to say that the Melbourne CBD is safe. After this incident, she actually refused to answer the question. In other occasions, where she was asked about African machete attacks and that nutter who like carjacked like 2 or 3 cars,
which is so
crazy.
Week.
Yeah, there's been some really fucked up, crazy stuff happening in Melbourne as of late. But this one, it's quite confronting. It's actually a white woman who is like clearly a meth head. So her name is Lauren Derule, total like meth head, bogan, white trash woman. She came up from behind, and then you can see her smiling, and she stabs this Asian woman right in the chest as she was walking to work.
Fucking Christ.
Like, for no reason. She wasn't trying to rob her or anything like that. She just walked up and randomly stabbed her.
Bit of the old meth psychosis.
But I got to say, it's a bit coincidental, though, that this is the footage that ended up going viral. An example of
yeah. Fucking ticked over in my head just then. Oh, look, it's a white person. Did they blur out her face? Did they make it impossible to see what she looked like? Or did they show you her in fucking 4K?
Boys, we found one.
Yeah.
No,
look, this knife academic is crazy. It's getting out of hand. Look at this white woman on meth.
No, she's the one. I'll see if I can say. I'll send you. Actually, I'll just copy the. I'll send you guys a image of her, because it's worth it just to see like the look on this woman's face. You'll see what I mean when I say meth head.
All right.
I'll just send it to you guys on.
I'm making a mental image right now. Dun. In the private chat here or somewhere else?
On Telegram.
On Telegram. Fuck, I'll have to open up let's have a look. See.
She's a big fan of Adidas.
Oh, there we go.
Or should I say Adidas?
Well, I mean, you sure there's not a man?
No, it's a woman.
She's really losing her teeth.
But look, as I said earlier, crime is at levels that they've never recorded. Ever since they started recording crime data in Victoria, they have never had a problem this big. It seems to me that we shouldn't be talking about this in the context of state politics, because, yes, of course, law and order is a responsibility of state governments, but this is due to the country's immigration policy. The states can only do so much and simply have to deal with the population that has been handed to them by the Commonwealth. And when you've got a whole bunch of crazed subhuman Sudanese hacking each other up with machetes, there's not all that much we can do about it except put them in jail and try to take their machetes or hope that they voluntarily give them up. Are you actually going to stop that pattern of behavior? Of course not. And the government shouldn't expect to do so. You have to simply just stop them from coming into the country in the first place.
But that's terrible. That's a restriction of rights.
That and do what Indonesia does to meth dealers.
Obliterate them.
Mercilessly gun them down as they bring their stuff in and shoot them in the water.
Works. Wasn't people like freaking out about Trump recently because there was a narco sub, and then they basically the Coast Guard, as a military operation, because technically the Coast Guard is a part of the military, just blew them right the fuck up.
Yeah. I mean, if it's a submarine, what else is it going to be used for? If it's a fucking legit one, for sightseeing and tourists, that's gonna, it's gonna have an EPIRB or something out there to let you know, we're not moving drugs in this thing. But if they're so I think the way they use these subs is, all right, big ship going by, even your lovely, beautiful, wonderful cruise ships going by. All right, get close enough to it, underwater, weld a package on. Let it cross the border, underwater, weld it off when it's in the port or passing by to collect it. And that's that's one way to use the sub, to slap packages on commercial and cruise ships because you know where they're going. You got their schedule and everything. So yeah, fucking blow them up again.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, so we now have a national disruption group. This was launched by Tony Burke, and this is designed to stamp out the illicit tobacco trade in Australia, because about 50% of the market now is illegal. Now, I don't have a figure in front of me. I remember reading something like it was $140 million that they've pumped into this. But it's for the simple reason that government revenue, in terms of the revenue they collect from tax on cigarettes, has actually gone down. And that's not because people are buying less tobacco. It's because they're buying less legal tobacco to avoid the taxes. And also, for the first time in decades, smoking rates in the country are actually going up rather than down.
Ooh.
So, the government's tax policy on tobacco is failing on two different fronts. They're not discouraging smoking, and they're not collecting revenue either. So now they're trying to break all of this up. And it's huge. I mean, people who don't mingle in the criminal underworld, people who just smoke, most of them seem now to know a source, someone they can go and talk to get cheap tobacco. It's that prevalent now.
Oh, I'm sure this gateway into the black market isn't going to have a horrible fucking consequences further on in everybody in this fucking society, right? But yeah, just getting tobacco here and then having a contact for something else there, maybe working for them. This is fucking awful. What have you done?
You are definitely not funding and assisting illegal Lebanese tobacconists to not only fund Lebanese gang crime, but also launder their money.
Yeah, that's it. They're not just dealing in illegal drugs like meth anymore. They're dealing with tobacco because tobacco has been, basically made illegal.
It's legally out of reach of the plebeians. If you're rich, you're perfectly fine no matter how much that shit costs. But yeah,
I mean, when you're paying 90% tax on a product, it's like you're already paying a fine for having bought it. It's not tax money. It's a fine that the government has given you. That's why I say it's effectively illegal. So yeah, it's no surprise that people are turning to the black market. And yes, that is fueling criminal activity, gang activity. But no, the government has actually made quite clear. There's actually a commissioner for tobacco. I remember we covered this a few weeks ago, and she said that there are she said no plans to reduce the excise tax on tobacco, which is enormously high.
So what? Is her job just to sit there and say fucking, yep, taxes are going up, living a dream, making sure everybody's paying their taxes on tobacco, slapping those ugly bloody things on the cases so that it won't be attractive. And now we've got vape, and she's done nothing.
Yeah. Well, she said, "Oh, look, there's a variety of problems. It's a complex situation."
Oh, she's an amazing excuse maker, eh?
Yeah,
there you go. That's what she's hiding.
Just one part of it. No, this is all about the excise tax. It's as simple as that. If you reduce that, you will reduce this form of activity. It's quite simple. Okay, so let's go to the Northern Territory. Some good news here. So the CLP have said that transgender women will not go to a women's prison. In other words, men won't go to a women's prison. What a shocking and retrograde thing to say. How out of step with modern values.
We are regressing as a inclusive and accepting people.
Well, no. I can see a way out of this is that they've got a tranny prison.
Yeah,
that would be a nightmare. That would be worse than a fucking normal prison, man. Holy shit.
It would.
It'd be a mental institution.
So I've said this before as well. Like, if they want to have, separate toilets, how about, we can just have transgender toilets? They're basically freaks, outcasts place, that they can go and hide in. And they can molest each other or whatever the fuck they do.
Probably bring their children into those bathrooms. That's what they'll do.
Obviously, a tranny does not belong in a women's prison. But at the same time, does he belong in a men's prison? Or should he just go somewhere specifically for tranny freaks? I say chuck him with the other tranny freaks. That's what I think.
Can we afford it?
And that way
Can we afford another
his
prison
own
system? Just for these specific people? Just for a fucking fad that's going to be out of here in probably 20 years?
So the LGBT lobby have said that they are horrified by the Chief Minister's comments, describing the language as inaccurate and harmful. Look, here's actually what she said. She said that they have revised Labor's woke transgender prison policy, where self-declaration was enough. And now they've made it to include a proper clarification process. In other words, they're going to see if you are biologically male or female. They're not going to rely on whatever letter you wrote down on the application form. You can't.
Have you chopped your genitals off/out? Is the next question.
Yes. Have you engaged in self-mutilation in a futile attempt to change your gender? Okay, so also in the Northern Territory, they've said that new data shows that crime has fallen significantly in the Northern Territory. I would say it probably has. So they're pointing to such figures as there's been a 38% increase in refusal of bail. Now that's definitely
that'll happen. Yeah, that'll decrease the amount of fucking crime going in the community.
Absolutely.
It's just not there anymore. They've physically removed crime.
How many times do we hear a story about like some vicious assault and the perpetrator was out on bail?
Almost every fucking time.
We're going to keep Thomas Sewell in jail for many months before he actually goes to trial. But no, these guys who like murder and rape people, they're perfectly fine for bail. So at least they've tried to kind of reverse that a bit in the Northern Territory. They've also done it to an extent in Queensland. But at the same time, there are still business owners in the Northern Territory who say they feel from a personal experience point of view that crime has not decreased. So you can understand that. Obviously, they haven't been able to solve the problem all across the territory. I imagine in the more remote communities where there's more Aborigines, where business owners have essentially had to resort to vigilante tactics, a lot of them are probably yet to see that kind of tangible results where they live. But, look, I'll say this. The CLP is doing a lot better job than what Territory Labor did. Territory Labor let it get absolutely out of control, particularly in Alice Springs, where you just had like nightly Aboriginal chimp outs.
My mind goes to the to that time when the Saint Fentanyl riots, when there was this one shop owner in I think it's some sort of Liquorland or something. He's in there. The crowd is there trying to bash in. He actually shot someone, and then like Moses parting through the Red Sea, the entire crowd opens up, and in comes the police to arrest the guy who had shot the people trying to break into the store, in order to let him take him into custody, and then they rush on into the liquor store to nick everything. I'm imagining how it was with the fucking labor and up there. Fuck.
Yeah. Okay, so a Northern Territory politician, who I believe is Aboriginal, is calling for an independent national body to be established on the high rate of Indigenous deaths in custody. They do this just like every couple of years. They ask for this, or they ask for another royal commission or some kind of review or whatever. They voted it down, so it's not happened.
No, enough of that. Give it a couple more years. Fucking A.
Well, the CLP know that it's useless. And look, what they're citing is that so far this year, and remember, we're nearly at the end of the year now, 24 Indigenous people have died in custody. That's actually not a particularly high number. And, as I always say, when there was a Royal Commission into this, they actually found that Aboriginal people were more likely to die outside of prison than they were inside of prison. Mm-hmm. Because, you get like instantaneous healthcare in prison, whereas
that in custody, I think you were saying it last time. Custody is all right. You're under arrest, and then they fucking expire after.
There's that too.
After the rest of the shit in their system kills off.
Yeah,
because a lot of them are out there. They're fucked up on drugs. They're drunk. They've also been lifelong smokers. And when they get into a situation where they resist arrest, they get into a state that puts them at higher risk of like having a heart attack or something. That's basically what happened with George Floyd. He was arrested, resisting arrest the whole time. He had been putting his body through punishment for years and years, and it finally gave way when they were trying to arrest him.
Fucking the heart of an ox. Dude, I still remember that massive cope, man. I still remember that one doctor coming, and the doctor being like, "Well, maybe." It was like a medical expert. Sorry, not a doctor. No, sorry. No, it was the coroner. Sorry, but yeah, they brought in this one doctor who was very obviously a their guy lawyer firm doctor, and he was like, "Well, yeah, the years of drug abuse actually made his heart stronger." It's like, are you fucking with me?
Beautiful.
The coroner came in, and the coroner was trying to say, like, from my results, I don't believe that this is the case anymore. And they basically shut him up and told like the jury to not pay attention to what he just said.
No, we're sacrificing this cop on the altar of Big Nog.
Oh god. Okay, let's skip to the story on Queensland. So we actually went through these figures when they first came out. It has turned out that this data is faulty. The Queensland Police Minister has admitted that it is faulty and has apologised for it. But basically, this data showed that there was this enormous drop in victims of crime in Queensland, and they said that rate was 10.8%. And so, that is quite a significant reduction, especially when you consider that the LNP government has not been in power for very long in Queensland. However, the actual figures show that there was a 6.5% reduction. That is still pretty good. Mm-hmm. And remember, Queensland overhauled their bail laws as well after that the 70-year-old woman was stabbed to death by a Sudanese teenager who was out on bail. So they were forced to kind of reverse things there. And what a surprise. We're actually seeing a reduction in crime.
That it takes the death of people for them to fucking get off their asses and do their fucking job.
That is really sad that it has to come to that. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Okay, so David Crisafulli, when he was asked about the Brisbane 2032 Olympics and how he planned to attract interstate big business, he said this: "I'll tell you another thing I can offer. If they live in Melbourne, they've got a place that's dealing with youth crime and they won't get stabbed. That's a good start."
Damn straight.
Well, okay. You've still got your fair share of knife crime in Queensland, though. But this was just him trying to be funny, and it kind of fell flat.
Fucking hilarious to me.
But no, that is something in the equation. to take into account. I mean, a lot of the time, businesses, if they're getting robbed a lot, if there's a lot of crime in the area that they operate in, well, a lot of the time they just close up shop and move out. Simple as that.
It turns out stealing shit makes businesses go away. I wonder why things like food deserts exist.
Oh, you fucking beat me to the food desert.
Yeah.
Yeah, why the fucking food desserts? I'm fucking starving out here. Why can't I just go into the local chicken shop and grab a fucking wing? What's the problem? Why are they doing this? Fucking gentrification. Give us food, Whitey.
Maybe if you stop stealing it all the time, they'd be more willing to open.
I may have said it before, but I'll say it again. Perfectly good Olympic Park sitting right here in Sydney. Fuck all you other states. It's all built. It's all sitting there. It's waiting for you to work on it. It's not like it's all dusty in that. We use it for the Easter show, get in the Sydney Olympic Park, and we'll fucking have another lovely, beautiful Olympic Games here in Sydney. Where,
You get Kathy Freeman back.
Oh, get her to go fucking light the torch. Fucking mosey her way up. How old would she be by now?
Talking about shitty conservatives. Perth guys will know what I'm talking about.
Okay, so here's a story on the use of the encrypted app called Anom. As the name suggests, it's an encrypted app designed to secure your anonymity and not get you your personal identity revealed. Unfortunately, for people using it, and it turns out a large number of people using Anom are criminals and were using it for criminal activity. Well, the app was actually compromised some time ago, and this resulted in the FBI, their agency is actually receiving a large number of messages forwarded to them. And this has also made its way to Australian law enforcement as well. So in other words, criminals were there exchanging messages on Anom, and the cops were reading those messages the whole time. So
remember those phones back in the day that like undercover cops were selling as like incognito phones, and then it turns out like that was a gigantic international scam to catch criminals. We covered that back in the day.
Well, you know something that has always interested me is that the Onion router Tor, that was actually invented by the American government, which that just in and of itself makes me think, okay, can it really be trusted then? Because it's supposed to secure your anonymity, but the American government invented it.
Well, people kind of might think of that on cryptocurrency as well, but no, crypto is incredibly traceable. So, well, number one thing is don't do crime. And you're basically secure from the average amount of getting fucked with. But, yeah. Fucking fair enough. Bloody the Five Eyes are doing their job and letting everybody know, yes, these people are criminals. Probably have good lawyers with them though. If they can afford to be criminals, probably can afford a good lawyer to get them out of what shit they were sending each other.
Well, okay, yeah. Well, look, that's what we're going to go through now. Well, just to give the figures on this, they reckon Anom was used by around about 11,000 people worldwide, 1,650 in Australia alone, and the Australian Federal Police captured around 28 million messages. And that led to over 390 arrests and several prosecutions. But the permissibility of using that evidence was challenged late last year. So the government passed legislation that was known as the Confirmation Act that basically means it is illegal to make that challenge. So in other words, it's retroactive law that says, yes, this is legal and you can't say that it's not legal. You can't legally challenge it. Well, that was taken to the High Court, and the High Court said, yes, you can actually pass retroactive law in that respect.
Oh, that does not bode well.
Do you remember the
fuck.
WA government actually passed retroactive law making it illegal for Clive Palmer to take action against them? And Clive Palmer took that to the High Court as well and lost. So
He's
yeah,
going to Sweden or something. Switzerland. Where the fuck am I thinking he was going for? That moneyed place in the middle of Europe that has all the mountains around it.
Switzerland.
Switzerland, yeah.
Yeah.
He's going to their
although
High
a lot
Court
of people
to fuck off
are
Australia.
they're saying that like the jurisdiction there like is not recognised by Australia, so it's just pointless doing that.
The idea is they basically use their big friends abroad to fuck you up financially if you don't do what they say. But like, yeah, again, no international court really has jurisdictions. It's mostly basically like, yes, we're going to give a result and give it to America, and if they actually like the result, then America will bully you, and you don't want that.
It's a pretty scary prospect. So yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, so the High Court declined to find that the law was invalid, and that means that now all of that data collected through the Anom app can be used in prosecutions.
Swiggy. Now they just need to say 28 million. Gork, can you find any illegal shit in all these text messages? It's basically going to be the name.
One of the lessons I kind of learned from all this is just to kind of say to people, okay, you use encrypted apps, but that is still never a guarantee that other people aren't reading your messages. No application is 100% secure. I mean, people thought this was, and law enforcement were reading the messages all the time. Now, I'm not suggesting our guys are engaging in criminal activity. However, I would just say, watch what you say, watch what you plan, etc. on encrypted apps. Like, there's always the possibility that someone else is reading them.
Wasn't there a form of English invented specifically for fucking with the cops so they couldn't understand what the fuck you're talking about?
Cockney.
That's the one.
Yeah, rhyming Cockney, yes. That's literally was invented to fuck the police.
My mate's brown bread. What does that mean? He's fucking dead.
Okay, so finally on crime, bloody Tony Burke, talking about him again. So he's given the financial crime watchdog new powers to crack down on money laundering, terrorism financing, and serious crimes associated with cryptocurrency. Yeah, because the modern way of money laundering or, trying to hide where funds are going is definitely crypto. People aren't using the casinos, or at least not as much anymore, or they aren't just, setting up like a fake laundry and fabricating the sales records. Cryptocurrency is actually a much more effective way of doing this. And like I know you said before, Fluoride, that crypto is highly traceable. It can be. It all depends on how clever you are in using it. And, a lot of these organized crime networks are very clever and they really know how to cover their tracks very well using cryptocurrency.
If I may, a big thing you'll see nowadays with scammers who have convinced some old fogey to fucking pay them out. It's fucking, I am the IRS. You need to pay. You've got this much paid. Let me see your bank account. Let me control your mouse. Oh yeah, look, it's fucking this much. So I need you to go down to a cryptocurrency fucking bank and don't tell anybody else about it because you don't want to get in trouble. You want to keep this in house, and I can help you here. All right, now take out this cryptocurrency, send it to this telephone address, and you're good. And then they slowly, get more information on you, send out more scams to you, and fucking bleed an old fogey dry. Because of those cryptocurrency ATMs happens a lot in the US. That and them leaving basically packages of money on their doorstep, and then a runner comes around and nabs it and fucking sends it off to their mate. So yeah, that's the current scam.
We've got a story coming up, actually, when we discuss local councils about council was ripped off. I think it was $2.3 million because they're making use of AI technology as well now, and just generally they're becoming more sophisticated. You know, it's no longer I'm an African prince wanting to leave you millions of dollars. You know, it's stuff that sounds believable. It engages in social engineering, and usually they take a longer time. Instead of just trying to trap someone instantly, they try to slowly kind of reel them in and manipulate them. And get the money
They get
that
your
way.
data. They build up a thing. One of the big ones is you're like Fenian. If you're fucking if your brother, they fucking get the name of your brother, and he and they get all that, and they call you up and saying he's been in an incident, he's been drinking, he's if you don't pay bail, he's going to jail for yonks, and you need to pay it here, need you to go to a cryptocurrency. Yeah, that's one of the ways they use.
Well, yeah, if you called me and said that about my brother, I'd say good and hang up.
I didn't know you had a brother. I was fucking making up a brother.
I was waiting for that.
Oh, okay. I might have ranted about him before. Yeah, but I do have a brother who absolutely can't fucking stand. So I'll be like, what? Really? Awesome.
Stick the boots into him.
Medium style.
Yeah. All right, so let's turn to the much related topic of Aborigines.
I thought we were already on them a bit ago. I guess that was just the Northern Territory.
I always put Aboriginal news after crime news. Always.
What a swift transition.
So, all right, so closing the gap. So, our Indigenous Affairs Minister, who doesn't really have the same high profile that Linda Burney did. So her name is Malandiri McCarthy. She has singled out the Queensland. Yeah.
Yep.
So Queensland and Northern Territory for their alarming incarceration rates of First Nations people, while failing to close the gap in the various measures. Well, yeah, I mean, we were just talking about Queensland and Northern Territory crime there. You do actually have governments now who have cracked down on it, and of course, that is going to mean an increase in jailing Aboriginal people. Why? Because they commit a lot of crime. And if you arrest more people for committing crime, more of them go to jail. And so I'd just like to ask her, like, what's your alternative to actually go back to where we had teenagers out on bail stabbing to death grandmothers? Is that what you're actually proposing to do? Simply for the sake of reducing Aboriginal incarceration?
She seems to be a big fan of extra-racial violence on Whitey.
We're in this fucking pendulum phase. We cover a crackdown on the Northern Territory crime, then we cover protests and belly aching about oh my god, there's over policing, and then we cover the loosening of laws and allowing for more the removal of dry zones, and then we're back to point one.
Oh god. Okay. And they also talked about the possibility of pulling funding. So, that would particularly apply to the Northern Territory because they rely so much on Commonwealth funding. But they're like, all right, if you don't stop incarcerating so many Aborigines, we're not going to give you money. So what happens then?
Or you just release them out onto the streets. They cause chaos again, and you can't fucking keep arresting them, so you allow them to keep doing violence and bottom text.
Yeah. And then you end up right back where you started with the Crimfluencer videos. Kids posting videos of themselves stealing cars and setting them alight, posting them on TikTok, and then saying, yeah, you try and beat my record tonight. I torched 5 cars. Can you torch 6?
Very cool, TikTok. Very cool.
Okay. Oh, geez. I forgot to say, by the way, we've got an interview with Stephen Wells to show you guys.
Hmm.
So I should have mentioned that at the beginning of the episode. Anyway, more on that
Yeah,
later.
just throw it into the title. We'll be good. We'll be golden.
Yeah, I'll make that a feature of the description. Okay, so oh god, so they're trying to redevelop a a North Adelaide golf course. Talking about Aborigines, I'm just so used to talking about the Northern Territory. So this golf course apparently, of course, is on sacred Aboriginal land. And so this means that the Aboriginal Affairs Minister in South Australia has to impose 31 strict conditions on the redevelopment of the golf
Oh,
course.
fuck off.
So that includes establishing a protected area over part of the course, which means only works such as lawn resurfacing and maintenance can occur. Because, you'll upset whatever rainbow demon or snake lives there.
Rainbow demon. That's a good term for it.
That's what they talk about. No, it was the rainbow serpent.
Functionally a rainbow demon.
Rainbow serpent. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It sounds incredibly gay.
It is, and it was probably created by like a gay primary school teacher, and it has nothing to do with the Aboriginal Dreamtime.
This was made by a yuppie academic in a lecture theatre, a lecture hall.
Yes. Now, in Victoria, the lower house has just passed a state treaty with Victorian Aborigines. So the opposition, the Liberal Party, have said that if they are elected, they will scrap this idea. Liberal Party became kind of a bit braver when it came to opposing this kind of stuff after the referendum, because even they were surprised at just how many people voted no to an Indigenous voice. And like, actually, maybe it's actually a vote winner to push back on a lot of this Aboriginal crap. But anyway, what does this treaty actually mean? Well, first and foremost, it's about money. Because you think about it, what's a treaty? It's like an agreement to keep the peace. And how do you keep the peace? You pay people. But also, talking about Aboriginal languages and things that we're told are Aboriginal creations but are not, this is going to mean that many sites in Victoria, so like roads and suburbs, etc., are going to get Aboriginal language names.
For fuck's sake.
Now, apparently, according to this ABC article, before Europeans arrived in the area now known as Victoria, Aboriginal people spoke more than 40 different languages. But many of those words lie hidden now, known in memory more than on the tongue. That's what
40
the
different
draft
grunts
treaty says. So it says, through colonial violence, dispossession, and government policies that broke up families, like assimilation and the stolen generations, many Aboriginal people were stopped from learning their traditional languages. And so now they're trying to bring them back. Now, look, a lot of the languages are not really languages. Like Tasmanian Aborigines, I know we're talking about Victorian ones here, but like Tasmanian Aborigines basically didn't have a language. They would like grunt and shake their head or make clicking sounds and stuff like that. I'm not exaggerating. They had a few utterances. They didn't really have a language, and the Tasmanian Aborigines would not have what you would call a conversation with each other. That just didn't exist. There were very basic primitive communications related to, going out hunting and gathering and getting.
Oi,
things.
woman, get down to the fucking shore and get me my fucking abalones.
Yeah, but
That's a bit too sophisticated.
Yeah. You used actually quite a few words there with multiple syllables. They wouldn't have gotten to that level of sophistication. So a lot of the time when they try and reconstruct these languages, a lot of it is simply made up. And it's
We made it the fuck up.
So we're doing it. and they're trying to tell you that there was all this depth and meaning and nuance to the languages when there was just a bunch of clicks and grunts, really, at the end of the day. Okay.
Gotta love it.
It's taking noble savage to the nth degree by fucking making up their own languages for them.
Okay, so we're going to go to state politics now. So just a quick one in Queensland. Nick Demito from the Katter Australia Party is resigning from Queensland Parliament, and he is going to run as mayor of Townsville.
Ooh, that's a big position.
Yeah. This guy, though, I must add, he is a massive Zionist. Ever since October 7th.
So it's got a good chance of getting in, you say?
Yes. No, but he's been doing all this crap like liberate Gaza from Hamas. He does that kind of stuff. He went as like a counter demonstrator to pro-Palestine rallies in Queensland. He's not the brightest bulb, but anyway. So here in WA, of course, our Liberal Party is almost dead completely. They were decimated in the last 2 elections, and they've lost the last 3. So they've just had like a kind of internal review that has made 78 recommendations to the party leadership. So that includes stronger candidate vetting, better policies in recruiting more women. And all these things apparently are going to make them more competitive in the next election, where Basil Zemplis will be premier.
Oh my God! The man who just roped himself is now cutting his wrists. It's terrible.
Okay, now, well, actually, I'm sorry. That's all we have on state politics. We're going to go to federal politics now, and the big story was that Barnaby Joyce is not going to recontest the seat of New England. He's also said that he's basically fallen out with his National Party colleagues. He's particularly at loggerheads with the leader, David Littleproud, who is seen as a progressive, whereas Barnaby is seen as a hard right member of the Nationals. And it has been confirmed that he has been in talks with Pauline Hanson and One Nation about the possibility of jumping over to them. It's unconfirmed if they've actually made a deal, however, but we know at the very least they have had discussions. Barnaby strikes me as the kind of guy who can't quit. He lives for politics. So I would say, he's probably going to make that jump. However, it will be it'll be a run for the Senate, though, because I still don't, even though One Nation's vote has been climbing in the polls, the other parties are still effectively able to gang up on One Nation and make sure they don't win a lower house seat. Different story in the Senate, though. So Barnaby would actually find his way back home. Remember, he did start out as a New South Wales senator for the Nationals. He went to the lower house simply because he wanted to be the leader, which happened in the end. But now basically they're saying that he has been, since the last election, obsessed with scrapping the policy of net zero by 2050. And many members of the National Party want to do that, but David Littleproud is ever so reluctant. And also, remember when the coalition actually broke up for like a week post the last election? That was said to also have been based on differences of opinion between the Nationals and the Liberals on net zero. But then they got back together. It was only a temporary divorce. And, the only reason I think that happened is because David Littleproud said, okay, fine, we won't make net zero a deal breaker. We'll back it again. Barnaby doesn't like that, so he wants out now.
Yeah, boy. Well,
so he's playing footsie with that again.
Yeah, the ABC was calling this like a volatile move from like a seasoned politician. So it was like, okay. It's like I can understand why he would do it, but yeah.
No, I mean, he's been completely sidelined, though. He's on the backbench. He's not going to be given, certainly under David Littleproud, he will not be given another frontbench position. And also remember, he was maneuvering to try and make Michael McCormick take over as leader. So his position is just untenable now. He can't work effectively within the National Party.
So all he can do is try and fucking rock that cage from the inside.
Yes, that's actually a perfectly rational decision for him to make at this juncture. So Barnaby may seem buffoonish sometimes, but he's not an idiot, and frankly, you're an idiot if you think he's an idiot.
Yep, you fell for a ruse if you think politicians are idiots. They're very competent lawyers. Very, very competent lawyers.
Yeah, Barnaby's an accountant, but yeah, for the most part, they are lawyers. And, look, I'll even say the same thing about Clive Palmer. He didn't become a billionaire from being stupid, okay? He's actually a very smart man.
He's just portrayed that way on the telly.
Yeah, and part of it is manufactured themselves because they want you to think of them as like an everyday knockabout guy,
I'm easily accessible. It is easy to relate to me. I am just like you. I wasn't groomed from a young age and went to impressive elite selecting institutions and made into this by possibly a dynasty of my parents and their parents as well.
Yeah, look, I put on this rabbit skin hat. And fucking look, it's got little tooth things and little bottle caps in it. Oh no, relatable.
Fuck it, like I'm your local representative, and like that one skit from The Whitest Kids, it's just like yeah, it's like I am soulless. I am merely a vessel for a handful of interest groups.
Okay, so on to the federal libs. So Sussan Ley has announced recently a reshuffle, as I mentioned earlier. So, for example, Julian Leeser is now the education minister. I'm not going to run through every position. That's kind of boring. Just Google Liberal Party reshuffle if you do want to have a look at the names and what portfolios they've been given. But while all this goes on, of course, they're still kind of battling internal divisions, and we've got the never-ending debate between the moderates and the conservatives. Now, James Patterson has gone and done something that a lot of people think is a tactical error, basically. And he said that they need to stop this kind of ideological war within the party. But he took aim at the moderates and the conservatives. Now, he's said to be a conservative himself, but at the same time, he warned against adopting a kind of Farage light tactic. Obviously, a reference to Nigel Farage from the Reform Party. And he pointed out that even though, Reform have started a bit of a stir in the UK, they still don't have anywhere near the polling numbers needed to form government. At best, they're just sort of like political agitators who might win a seat or two.
Yep, and Farage likes to sit in there and take up that space and then collapse it whenever the fuck he feels like.
Yes. But then on the other hand, he also took aim at the moderates and said, we don't want to ignore the culture wars and simply just focus on free market economics. He said, no, the Liberal Party should take on the culture wars as well. They should have a established social policy that stands in opposition to Labor. Well,
what can they run on?
We've had that for a long time.
Yeah, what the fuck can they run on?
Yeah,
I'm at a loss. I mean, small businesses.
What social policies did Peter Dutton run on? Did Peter Dutton extensively talk about migration or abortion or gender ideology in schools or anything like that? He didn't say a bloody word on it.
I know.
He was perfectly happy with that just happening. Fucking.
Okay, so
he conceded the ground. Well done.
Sussan Ley is saying that they're basically going back to the drawing board on all of their policies now. They pissed off the Liberal Senator Sarah Henderson in the process because apparently her education policies took her 2 years to formulate, and now Sussan Ley basically just wants to scrap them and go back to reviewing it all again. So she's not happy about that. But Sussan Ley also said that the next election would have a package to cut income taxes, slash government spending, unwind Labor's industrial relations agenda, and reduce red tape. Okay, but there you're just doing exactly what James Patterson was saying you should avoid, which is only focusing on the economy and not focusing on the culture wars in any sense. Yeah, you've got to take that on. You've got to oppose some of this nuttiness. The fact that we're putting kids on puberty blockers, for example. And obviously you need to take on immigration. But we know that you're bought and sold by the Chamber of Commerce and other lobby groups. So just like Labor, you won't budge on it. And that may be why the Libertarian Party might take your place as the opposition centre-right party in the future.
Truly a fate worse than death.
Yeah. So lastly on the Libs, Jacinta Price is currently being sued now in the federal court. So this is to do with the press release that she sent out to more than 1,000 journalists. And it apparently inaccurately claimed Central Land Council Chief Executive Leslie Turner was unfit for the role and his dismissal was warranted. So, yeah, she was being taken to court on defamation grounds because of that. Apparently, she has already been bankrolled by donors such as Gina Reinhart, the richest person in Australia. So at least she doesn't have to worry about her legal bills. That's been taken care of by billionaires. So we'll go to the federal ALP now. I just realized I didn't put my dot points in for this. But I think I can go from memory here. Wayne Swan, who is the former deputy leader of the Labor Party, he was also treasurer. He is standing down as president of the Labor Party. He's been in that role for quite a few years now. He's 71 years old, so he's finally actually retiring from politics. He also spent forever on the backbench, when Labor were voted out last time in 2013. He just seemed to forever linger on the backbench for some reason. But he also said, his parting words, he said to Labor, don't assume that you're a shoo-in for every election. Just because you're doing good now does not necessarily mean you will into the future. And, he's got a point. Don't ever take your position for granted. But that doesn't mean I have much hope for a viable
doesn't
position.
say do the will of the people and use this fucking thing to get shit done in order to improve people's lives. Just, you're not going to be up there forever. Beware when you get shunted off. Remember to keep sucking each other's dicks from the Liberals, otherwise you'll be out forever. Fuck.
All right, so finally we'll get to local government news. Now, here in Western Australia, we just had council elections, of course, and I haven't seen the figures on this, but they were saying that voter turnout is lower than ever in Western Australia. So last time we had council elections, it was around 30%. This time it was estimated to be even below that. Now, you add that with the fact that so-called extremist candidates have been running for council. They're very concerned about the fact that voting here in WA for council elections is not compulsory. So you see what happens there when you've got one of these extremist candidates. They go and rally the support of all their friends to go and vote for them, while the average voter simply doesn't vote because they don't care about council elections. And that way you get your extremist candidate. Firstly, I must point out that this is actually a tactic the Greens have been using for decades.
Oh yeah, works a charm.
People only started caring about it when Stephen Wells from Busselton started running for council. And there was a massive smear campaign against him last time. But
he
now,
managed to piss off. He managed to become the personal enemy of Devere Abramovich. It's like, how the fuck did you manage that?
But look, our local government minister is Hannah Beazley, who, of course, is the daughter of Kim Beazley. She is saying now that she favours compulsory voting in local government elections and also 4-year terms, because at the moment we only have, I think it's 2-year terms. And apparently, I didn't know this, but Western Australia and South Australia, we're the only states where it's not compulsory. Other states, you've got to vote in local.
No wonder it's so fucking low turnout.
Oh yeah,
basically have to monetarily punish people for not turning up in order to get them
out
more than 26 fucking %.
But the
people my ass.
The candidates never tell you what party they're from either. So a lot of the time, people just don't really know what they're voting for, so they just don't bother. You know, you get a campaign poster that just has generic shit about how they will fight for you in the council, and every candidate says the same thing. So it's like,
Gork, write me up a really good poster for getting people to vote for me.
Yeah. Stephen Wells, on the other hand, wow, you should have seen his poster. So look, this is where we'll cut to the interview that we did with Stephen Wells. So if you don't know, he was running for Busselton Council, as he did 2 years ago. And he is, yes, a so-called extremist candidate. This audio is all right, but it's not 100%. I did do my best to clean it up best I could. The reason for this is because we actually were supposed to interview Stephen indoors. Due to unforeseen circumstances, we had to then conduct this interview outside and by a train line. At one stage, you will hear a train very loudly go by. But anyway, this is an interview regarding his run for the Busselton Council, and we'll go to that now. Okay, so this is election day for local government in Western Australia. According to Stephen, we are probably going to get some results tomorrow morning. So, well, Stephen, how are you feeling about it? Are you confident about a possible victory?
I wouldn't say confident, but calm and collected regardless of the result. It's been a fun experience, and it's been very beneficial to the White Australia cause, just simply to stand. So win, lose, or go nowhere, it's certainly been a positive experience. So I'm quite happy regardless of the outcome.
So look, I'm sure you'd be a candidate who would go out there and shake hands. What has the reception been like from the people in Busselton?
Well, I haven't sort of done a proper campaign just due to the amount of vilification and hysteria pushed by the mainstream media and the left. But I've done 2 Meet the Candidates events, and they were both very positive, and had quite a few people coming up afterwards and shaking my hand and wishing me well and saying that they would support me. The Meet the Candidates event is probably only a small fraction of the community, so I don't know if that will translate to the volume of votes that I'll need, but it's certainly been encouraging to get just generally positive feedback from people.
So look, you mentioned the media scan campaign. To me, it looked like that was maybe more intense the last time you ran for council, and it got very dirty. An interview that I did with you actually was pulled into the media, where you were talking about your article on Nationals running for council. It got so dirty that they even dragged your wife into it. I mean, why did you come back for more?
Well, once you've experienced the worst that they can throw at you, you can't really experience anything worse again, can you? So you've already done it, you've already been exposed, you've already had the hits. it's kind of silly to then give up, because then they've won. So once they've thrown all the worst that they can throw at you, then, well, you may as well go hard, or go even harder, because they've already tried to ruin your life. The only thing that's really left is lay down and die or fight back. So I chose to fight back.
So how did the media campaign compare to the last time you ran?
It was interesting because they seemed originally to be trying to not give me any coverage at all. They seemed to be trying to go the other way and just completely ignore me. But that failed because 4 of the candidates decided to boycott the Meet the Candidates event and put out a press release saying that the reason that they were boycotting it was because they allowed me to attend. And so then the media had no choice but to publicise these candidates who'd boycotted me. And so that became very interesting in and of itself, because they ended up having no choice but to sort of vilify me without going as hard as they went last time. But at the same time, still bringing up all the same stupid points, like self-described, homophobe, racist, and all the rest of it. So yeah, it was interesting. It wasn't full on.
I should tell viewers that this interview was supposed to actually be conducted indoors, and because of unforeseen circumstances, we've had to do it outside.
Near the train. Yeah. We're near the train because it reminds us of all of the stabbings in Europe at train stations. Yeah, so last time it was all in one go within a couple of days, and then nothing much after that. This time it's sort of been gradually just digs here and there, and just more bits of news just sort of trickled through, but generally instigated by other people that the media have had to respond to, rather than the media sort of having a full hit piece campaign on its own. So not quite as intense, but more long lasting.
So were there any other attempts, like not just by the media, but say anti-far political organisations, to stifle your campaign?
So there was a big sort of leaflet campaign that somebody paid loads of money for, that went in letterboxes everywhere saying don't vote for him, he's a Nazi, which was kind of cool, because I couldn't afford to run any leaflets myself. So I would like to thank those people for publicising me and spending all their money to try and get me elected. That meant I didn't have to spend any money of my own. Other than that, there was the Gay Pride Alliance, ran their own hit piece, and had a few shenanigans from the LGBTQ mob, sort of trying to dox my address and stuff, which we just reported to the police, and then didn't think any more of it. But yeah, it's been fairly tame. Mainly, it's just been easier this time because we were ready for it. So previous time, we kind of knew that they would come after me. We just weren't prepared for the extent that they would come after me. This time we were ready for anything, and we decided just to let them advertise me, and that's been a pretty good strategy.
So, I mean, last time what you were kind of most criticised for was running for council with a hidden agenda. You had a far-right agenda, and you were encouraging other people to just keep it all a secret, and then, once you're in power, you can basically, implement your final solution.
Yes, gas chambers in every toilet.
Yes, but this time, to read off your campaign leaflet, you said, I assert that Australians have been lied to about climate change, COVID, the LGBTQ agenda, multiculturalism, so-called Aboriginal land rights, and the Second World War. So this time, I don't think anyone could possibly accuse you of covering things up.
They did. They accused me of not mentioning that I was a member of the NSN, so I'll have to rectify that next time.
Okay. But I mean, did you do that on purpose? Were you just completely 100% honest about everything this time?
Yeah, I figured. Well, see, the point was I wasn't talking about myself when I was advising other people. It was more of the case of the people who were too scared to put their hand up for council for a fear of being doxxed. I was basically, the idea was, look, no one's going to know what your views are on national politics, go in and get some experience in local politics, because no one's going to care what your national views are because it's about local issues. So that was the point I was trying to make, and obviously they twisted it to say that he's trying to get in, on this secret agenda because I didn't mention what my global politics were in the local election. But I mean,
but who does?
Who does? Exactly. So this time I thought, all right, well, they're gonna go and shout out what my national politics are anyway, and they're going to make it all about that. They're going to do that, not me. So I may as well just beat them to the punch and say, well, okay, well, here you are. I'm a Nazi, and take it or leave it. And I want a white Australia policy. I think climate change is bullshit and all the rest of it. And yeah, so. People can make of that what they will, but I figured, well, if the press are going to make it all about my national and international views, then I may as well run with it. So I did.
So, to your knowledge, do members of the Greens and other, more radical left groups, do they still implement that strategy of, hiding their actual political agenda and running for council, and then doing things like, having a Invasion Day instead of an Australia Day or a day of mourning or something like that?
Well, they don't hide it so much anymore, but I mean, they're never upfront about it. Yeah. But everything's now caged in Orwellian language, of course. Like I support diversity, or I value all people, or I'm all for sustainability. They crouch their intentions in weird language, but I think everyone's at the point now where you can spot a greenie or a tranny or a commie a mile off. So I think I saw on one council election, not the one I was in, but somewhere else, someone pointed out to me someone had upfront said, I am a member of the Communist Party, which was refreshing. But yeah, pretty much all of the commies in the Busselton election, they don't sort of openly go, I'm wanting to destroy Australia through multiculturalism. You just have to sort of pick that out.
So, speaking strictly about local government issues, what were the issues that you focused on?
Well, to me, I'm not there for dog beaches or all of the other things that people were, getting hysterical over. Obviously, that's what I'll end up doing if I get elected. But I basically said to people, look, I'm there because of the international treaties that get actioned at local council level. So things like smart cities, which is basically a globalist intention to enslave everybody, with turning off your air conditioning remotely from miles away, or 15-minute cities to dictate when you can use your car and that kind of stuff. So that all gets implemented through local bylaws, which you have very, very little control over, because they're basically treaties that the federal government has signed. The local bureaucrats basically get told, this is your job, this is what you have to do, and local councils have very, very little power to stop them. But even if we don't have power to stop them, we can at least try and mitigate the worst aspects of them. And, when they're steamrolling over us, we can at least make a stink and let the community know. And so I basically said to people that, look, I'm not there to change anything because I'm just one person. But the fight back has to start somewhere. So, vote for me and then join me in the fight.
Right. So, Hannah Beazley, she is the Minister for Local Government here in Western Australia. She has flagged the possibility of making voting in council elections compulsory. She's also talked about the prospect of 4-year terms. This seems to be in direct response to radicals. In fact, she did actually mention extremists. She mentioned you. She mentioned Tamara Freedom as well. If your, legacy is compulsory council elections, would that be something to be proud of?
Well, I'd be proud that just to get any communist or daughter of a communist and daughter of a fat slob to be triggered that way. But yeah, I mean, pretty much anything they do to try and in reaction to us is only going to backfire. I mean, people don't vote in council elections for a reason, and if you then force them to do something they don't want to do, they're generally going to react by doing everything else that you don't want to do as well. So perhaps vote for people like me. If that's the reason they're being told that they have to vote is to stop extremism, it's more likely that the people who don't want to vote will vote for extremists just to piss off the government and hope that they reverse their decision to make everybody vote.
So you think it would backfire?
I think anything they try and do to stop us backfires.
Right.
You know, they can't fight fair, they can't win an argument, and so they try dirty tactics. But dirty tactics always backfire. So they'd be better off just trying to improve their arguments and actually have policies that were good and helpful to Australia. But of course they can't do that either, because they're all paid for by corrupt globalists, and they're all basically whores. So when you're a whore, eventually the world's going to come crashing down on you no matter what you do.
Right. So we're talking about local councils. When they have been in the news in the past couple of years, it tends to be because of dysfunction, mismanagement of funds, mass resignations. Do you have a view on why that is?
Oh, just basically because the only people, you know, lots of places, nobody's interested in politics, and the people who are interested in politics shouldn't be in politics is generally the answer. Busselton seems functional. We'll see what happens after this election. We'll see what happens if I get in, how functional it remains. But yeah, I mean, you're dealing with egotistical people who virtue signal about wanting to help the community, but really it's just about their own ego most of the time. So yeah, that's obviously going to lead to lots of situations where heads knock together and things don't function well.
Right. So do you still advocate for other nationals to run at the council level rather than Parliament?
I advocate for both, but we've got to start somewhere, and it's probably easier to start at a local council election because it only costs you $100 to register to run. You don't need a party machine behind you. You don't even need to spend money on signage and all the rest of it, because you basically get to write what you think and why you're running, and it's on the ballot paper, so you literally get free advertising. And most people don't look anymore beyond the ballot paper and what's written underneath each candidate before they choose who to vote for. So you've really got nothing to lose, and if you get 4% of the vote, you get your $100 back. So, yeah. So for that reason alone, anybody who is worried about this country should stand for local council, especially if you are a white person, because every other community goes hard for local elections. I was driving past my son's house earlier today in a different electorate, and his electorate's got an influx of people from India.
Yeah, I was about to mention the Indians.
Yeah, I mean there was just like half of the faces on the billboards that have been stuck around everywhere were Indian faces, and I don't blame the Indians for doing that. I blame the whites for not doing the same. So, you know, white people need to do what other cultures know, is that if you want your interests represented, you need to stand up and stand up first at local parliament and local councils. Otherwise, we're going to have a Pakistani mayor for our major cities, and we're going to have an Indian prime minister, just like England, before it's too late.
That's right. This question is not in my notes here, but I did remember earlier that you said you had a third book on the way. Is there anything you'd like to tell us about that? Yeah,
so the third book is out. It's called The Real Nazis. You can get it from Amazon along with my other two books. And yeah, it's basically a story of my journey to becoming a Nazi. It's a story about what happened to me in jail, and how I landed in jail. And most of all, it's a story about the hypocrisy of the government and all of the things that they accuse us of and they accuse so-called Nazis of, and just pretty much just giving example after example of how all of the things that Nazis are supposed to have done over the generations that we're supposed to be going to do in the future, that the government are already doing all of these things to people now.
All right. Well, Stephen, thank you very much for your time tonight, and best of luck tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so thank you to Stephen for participating in that. Let's go on to other local council news. Right, I alluded to this one earlier. The Noosa Council. They have been the victim of what they call a sophisticated scam, and they lost nearly $2 million.
Impressive.
So yeah, this they've said the deep fake technology was used to imitate personalities at the council. They said that no employees are to blame. So I guess I don't know, but I mean, someone must have fallen for this. But they're basically saying, you know, it's not their fault because this was quite elaborate, quite sophisticated.
It's very popular to just point out AI ruse mastered its way around the fucking tricking me, and therefore it's the AI's fault, and everybody goes, oh yeah, fair enough. But I'd like to see the details of what the fuck happened before we say, oh yeah, fair enough, that was the AI.
Yeah. But I mean, you know,
is it Donald Trump dropping shit on the No Kings protest? Did you think Donald Trump flew an F-15 and dropped a literal bomb of shit on them?
Oh God, I forgot to say, the local council elections, most of the results have been released, but last time I checked, the
Wells. If you want to know Wells' results specifically, he actually jumped in the chat in the last stream. I had to confirm because I was like, oh, fucking Jesus Christ. Like, is this Wells? Turns out it was Wells.
Boy.
He got 462 votes and he was 9 out of 19.
Okay.
Halfway
So
there.
he hasn't gotten a spot.
No.
Okay.
He got enough to get his money back, though.
Woo!
Okay, good. Yeah, because last time I looked, it said that the Busselton result was still not declared, but they believe he missed out. So
Yeah.
Oh well.
Obviously, he's not being extreme enough. He needs to go even more Burko.
Maybe he does. Okay, so also in still in WA, the Shire of Coolgardie, Hannah Beasley made the decision not to suspend them, despite the fact there has been massive financial mismanagement there. So instead, they're going to be placed under close monitoring with strict reporting requirements and financial training mandated. Oh, God. That was something I remember I asked Stephen about as well, was just like the general incompetence and like scandal that's plagued so many councils as of late. Did you guys see the Lydia Thorpe talking about burning down Parliament House?
Yes, and now she's saying, "Oh, it's just a figure of speech, just a figure of speech." It's like, well, fucking people are prosecuted for less, bitch.
And people kind of did set fire to the was it
old Parliament? Yes,
yeah, historical Parliament House. They did. They caused about $200,000 worth of dollars worth of damage to it, and you know, in the end, they arrested people for like obstructing an ambulance or something, but they never arrested anyone for arson.
For fucking arson, right there on camera, them shouting and fucking hooting
on camera.
Yeah,
their faces were on camera, and they still didn't arrest them for it.
They had the better excuse to mask up, and they didn't.
Right. Imagine if NSN did something like that.
Death.
Imagine if the fucking
they would have
been
reversed to the fucking sun.
The NSN would get immolated.
Oh god. Yeah, but look, yeah, she said, I can't remember exactly now, but she was like, I will take this as far as I can if it means I have to burn down Parliament House or something like that. So
Believe her at a
the
word.
comments have been referred to police, and the AFP said they are assessing the matter methodically. In other words, they're coming up with how exactly they're going to tell you Lydia Thorpe will not be charged.
Yeah, they're real political police. The ALP, fucking oof, scary shit, man.
Okay, so on the topic of freedom of speech, back to the Northern Territory, they have made amendments to the territory's anti-discrimination laws. And this, according to the CLP, will restore freedom of speech and religion. So they've got something that looks very much like Section 18C of the Commonwealth Racial Discrimination Act. So it will no longer be unlawful to offend, insult, humiliate, or intimidate another person or group based on a protected attribute, such as race, religion, gender, etc. So that one of the consequences of that is that religious schools will now be able to discriminate by preferencing employees who share their values.
Fucking
Ooh,
finally.
ooh, how extreme that a Catholic school would prefer to hire Catholic staff. How
Yeah,
dare
and
they?
not be forced at the bar of a gun to hire infiltrators or people who want to diddle their fucking kids.
Yes. In other words, they'll be able to say no to homosexual teachers, which is good. A homosexual has absolutely no place to be in access to children. Not only should you have the right to do that, I think it should be compulsory. Homosexuals should not be allowed to work with children, full stop.
And yet, they can do one in every fucking state before they're out of luck. They can do it to their heart's content until they're found out in every fucking state once, because we don't share our shit over. I'm talking about the whole fucking kindergartens.
So the other story we've got on freedom of speech is in Queensland, and it concerns their defamation laws. Look, I've said before, defamation laws generally in Australia are pretty ridiculous. It's far too easy to win a defamation case. And also, when you do win them, you get paid out way too much.
We're seeing a tit for tat defamation, and then like going after the person who just won against you for defamation for another instance of defamation right now.
Yeah,
with the Higgins and Co.
So the new bill that was introduced, this would what is it? Okay, so it'd be responsible for potentially defamatory material published online, which means that they're making it so that social media companies would receive a degree of protection for what is published. Because remember, they sometimes get targeted from stuff that users have uploaded themselves. You know, there's that debate as to whether or not, say, Facebook is responsible, even though, you know, they didn't put the post up themselves. One of the users did. So there are protections there for social media. I'm not sure about like companies themselves, though, because remember, like Dylan Voller, he won that case against, oh God, I forget which media company, one of the big ones anyway, because a Facebook commenter called him a rapist. Now, you know, that's not true, to be fair. But the person who posted the comment wasn't liable for it. It was the newspaper that ran the page on Facebook. They were liable for it.
That was one of the most fucking retarded things we've ever covered, man.
Yes, and he got like hundreds of thousands of dollars. And remember, this guy is like a fucking serious criminal, and he got paid out massive amounts of money for that.
This is an expert in the law.
Yeah. So this is going to basically say that no, the actual individual who puts it up themselves, like not Facebook, but the individual, is going to be the one responsible. That's my understanding of what the changes are going to be. Anyway. So yeah, they would also have new potential defenses for social media platforms, as well as administrators of pages and groups where comments are made by a third party. So yeah, again, they're trying to protect these companies that. The thing is, though, if you don't protect the company, what they're going to have to do every single time they make a post is disable the comments. That's really all they can do. Just shut the comments down completely, and
no talking.
that sucks when they do that. I think
Yeah.
I haven't done it in a while, but I used to love getting in on Facebook comments and owning the libs and that kind of thing. But you can't do
There's
that.
a
as
reason
much.
why I don't have a Facebook page anymore, outside of it just being relegated to boomers. But yeah, like I used to be a fucking terror on Facebook.
Yeah, yeah, especially in that. What was it like that youth political page? What was it called? AYPS Facebook.
I remember I had a profile picture of a rabbi kissing a black woman. that got me so much fucking hate.
Yeah.
Yes, it was me.
I had someone contact me via Facebook asking me if I wanted to run for Parliament. And I said, like, why would you want me to do that? And they said, oh, we've seen your posts on this Facebook group and we really liked them. What?
What the fuck?
Really?
You're a popular sort of guy. I want to run for Parliament. I'd vote for you.
What was it? But also, they at the same time they want to give courts greater powers to just simply take down posts. Now that is a better alternative than suing people. What if we could just simply find a faster way to pull down a potentially defamatory post, and that way it doesn't have to go to court, and that way someone doesn't have to pay out an enormous amount of damages.
Well, people are probably farming that in order. I can fucking get here because I'm reminded of that one bloke who, Jewish bloke who, got hit with a what was it? A seizure-inducing GIF, and the guy actually managed to track the person who posted it down, sue the ever-loving shit out of him, and ruin his life, claiming medical expenses. And this was an assault. So fucking people farming that stuff, and I'm also remembering that people do illegal stuff in order to fuck over people's reputation on there. I want to say might have been with Stone Toss, where people basically would jump into a Discord server, post a horrific thing as you could imagine, it's illegal shit, and then report that to Discord before leaving the server in order to get it fucking shut down and all that. But basically, any rules goes when you're fucking around on the internet in order to attack people, and they're doing that. So basically, defending Facebook and all that from it. I can see them needing these laws to come out, fucking making sure the company doesn't get screwed over for the acts of the people using its services.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
And there's some defamation cases where I've said, that's great. I'm glad that person was successfully sued. Brittany Higgins and David Shiraz, for example. They got exactly what was coming to them, in my opinion, from Linda Reynolds, which we had a little bit on later. Okay, so...
Wait, more? For fuck's sake. Sorry to interrupt.
Not much, though. Those ones are pretty short stories. So, on freedom of information, the Department of Home Affairs is preparing to replace its outdated Excel-based systems, and that's to tackle a growing backlog of FOI requests. Now, do you remember a few months ago, Labor were actually looking to reform this completely?
Yes.
And they basically wanted to make it harder to make a request, and they also wanted you to pay an application fee and there was still no guarantee, even if you paid that fee and made the application, that the request would actually be granted.
So basically, make it near on impossible.
Well, that was in the shadow of some very embarrassing admissions from Freedom of Information.
Yeah, it was. Now, Labor eventually backtracked on that. There was a pretty severe criticism from the media generally about that, especially when you consider how often do journalists rely on FOI to write their articles, to make their news. So, that was obvious. But, but it seems now that, yes, of course, there was a degree of they simply wanted to cover some things up. They didn't like the amount of information that was being released. But also, it was simply because they had an outdated digital system. If they'd just been using Excel the whole time to manage this, it's obviously inefficient. And, it was just getting harder and harder for them to manage the system. So now instead, what they're doing is actually upgrading it, which I'm assuming would cost a lot of money.
Well, it depends. I mean, it's the government, so normally what they do is they hire contractors, and what does a contractor ask for the most? Billable hours. But dude, I've been in office places that have switched over from some 1993 era deadware software to Excel in a week.
Oh, okay.
The people were probably really keen to drop the old shit and get onto the new one. Fucking with gusto.
If you've ever used Nani software in the modern day era, dude, you know that old software running on new systems is literally the most sketchy fucking shit possible. Oh yes, you need to tap the machine on its side twice and say this incantation for it to work.
I know an old fogey who used to go to fucking Canberra to work on the computer systems, and they had an old form of mouse, which was a wand moving inside of a ring in order to move the mouse on the screen.
The fuck? But yeah, no, it's not that hard. It's not that hard, and it shouldn't be that expensive. Now, what's actually going to happen here? That's the real question.
All right, so education. So Australian schools will need to act on a bullying complaint within 2 days of a reported incident. So this is part of a new national plan to tackle bullying that is said to be on the rise. Now, I think there's two main causes to the rise in bullying. One is what most people are willing to acknowledge, which is the rise of social media and the fact that most kids use it. It's often used as a form of bullying, particularly, teenage girls are vulnerable in that respect. But the other big cause of it that people are not acknowledging is the browning of our schools. We've got more and more brown and black kids. And look, I mean, anyone will tell you, bullies in a school are always low IQ misfits. Well, if you have a race of low IQ misfits in your classroom, not a surprise that they're going to be bullying people. And a lot of the time they bully white kids on the basis of their race. That's something they've experienced in America for decades, and it's starting to happen over here now.
Yeah, and the only answer to that is do what they're doing, gang up, which is fucking awful.
Yeah. Yes. So this anti-bullying review recommends providing trauma-informed training for teachers, targeted resources to address cyberbullying, and clear guidance to help early intervention.
That's a bullshit $10 marketing word, so that means it's fucking gay as shit.
$10 million they're spending on this.
But yeah, no, trauma involved. What the fuck does that mean? What the fuck does that actually fucking mean? As soon as you hear a word like that, I hear a word like that.
Yeah, I reckon that's just to avoid the fucking words of psychology, psychoanalyzing and fucking informing the teachers of how do I teach these kids not to kill each other.
But yeah, no, as soon as I hear as soon as I hear a $10 marketing word, I'm like, yeah, okay, this This was invented in a temple.
Oh god. Okay, so in Victoria, we're going to talk a bit about gender ideology here. So there's a group called Parents of Adolescents with Gender Distress. Now, I looked this group up. This is they're a fairly neutral group, but what they don't like is the fact that so many children now are identifying as transgender or having gender dysphoria.
I don't like it
And
either.
they're saying that the government is not doing enough about it. Now, look, if anything, I would say this group is actually anti-transgender because they're saying that many of their kids who experience so-called gender distress are going through a process of social transitioning. In other words, like transitioning to the opposite gender without surgical intervention, without physical transitioning.
Chemical?
Or chemical, yeah. Like they're just doing it in a social context, and
Yeah, they're wearing a fucking dress, the female uniform,
like that.
and after asking permission for it, and
Yeah, but not only that. They're saying that this social transitioning is happening in schools in secret, so the parents are not even being informed about what's happening.
where the teachers picked up on and said, "Yeah, you're allowed to do that. Just keep it secret for fucking. I'll have a change of. Oh fuck me, dead. That's abuse of the highest. Fucking keeping
Yeah.
the parents will out of
That
it.
older Stone Toss comic is like, it's a boy. It's like, no, that's for the preschool teacher to decide.
Oh fucking hell.
This group, Parents of Adolescents with Gender Distress, they have made repeated requests for meetings with Jacinta Allan and also the Education Minister, Ben Carroll, and they've been ignored every time. And they said that they feel like they're being treated as the enemy because they have, somewhat of an anti-transgender point of view. And they don't want their kids to be encouraged to mutilate their bodies. What a shocking thing to not want for your child. Oh, God.
All right. What else do we have?
So we've got one last education story. This is from Alice Springs. We covered this at the time. This was a principal, a white principal, who managed this Aboriginal school in Alice Springs. And it was actually had a reputation of being really, really good. It was like one of the few functional ones that was doing good things. Well,
oh no, I don't like where this is going. It was one of the functional ones. Oh.
It was. So the school principal, Gavin Morris, we covered this when it happened. He was arrested and charged for assaulting 5 young Indigenous students. Well, he was just found guilty, I believe, on most of the charges. And that included things like removing children by their ears.
Oh, yeah. You're not allowed corporal punishment anymore, but that'll work. That'll drag the little shit out of there.
He also choked one of them.
Oh, okay, maybe not.
Look, he's trial by combating them. He's just making sure they'll survive longer in this society.
Well, look,
mate, it's not that your dad hasn't done to you.
I'm taking it
actually,
easy.
Don't look into that. Oh God, child molestation jokes in every episode, people.
Here's what I think happened. I think the principal was actually running by relative standards, he was running a relatively good Aboriginal school. But remember, he had to work. He had to work with Aboriginal children every day after day after day. I'm sure he saw some pretty horrific stuff done there, and I'm sure that they put him under an enormous amount of pressure. I reckon that this guy basically just snapped. Like it was like a pressure cooker. He had to bottle up and restrain himself on so many occasions of seeing Aboriginal kids misbehave that on these 5 occasions, he finally lost it and had to lash out against them. Well, didn't have to, but he did.
Was it like that one Boondocks episode that they based off a real fucking teacher? It was like, how the fuck does someone borrow a fry?
Yeah, but look, there was Aboriginal witnesses that went to court. The judge accepted their testimony, and but the problem now is that apparently the school is like going to shit because this guy was the principal.
He had his principles about him that he knew what worked. Fucking should put him even higher up in the fucking Department of Education until he's whipping them all with an iron rod.
Jesus. Okay, let's go to social media now. Google is saying it's going to be extremely difficult for the Australian government to enforce the laws that prohibit people under 16 from using social media. Now, you may not know this, but they're not going to be required to conduct age verification procedures. Instead, they're required to use artificial intelligence and behavioral data to infer what a person's age is.
That could possibly be worse, actually.
I'm using Dr. Breen in order to look like a real human being.
Right, so you can just begin to imagine the amount of ways you could get around that and manipulate it.
Oh, we're gonna raise a whole generation of people who are good at getting around cyberlocks.
Well, I know whose identity I'm stealing.
But the thing is, though, any form of regulation, there's going to be someone who figures out how to get around it. I mean, when we try to restrict violent video games or, stop kids from sneaking into R-rated or MA-rated movies, that doesn't mean we just suddenly abandon the classification code. It still has some effect in stopping younger people from using those products. So, yes, of course, a lot of them are going to get around it, but that doesn't necessarily mean we shouldn't at least try to stop them from using it.
Well, for commercial kind of things, like the cinema example, you punish the business if it allows these kids to sneak into the cinema, however the heck you find out they did it. And basically make sure they're keeping up to their word that they're keeping these kids out of it. With the online one, companies should probably be able to do it pretty efficiently well as well if they're given the go ahead by the government to you need to do this, here's the rule, and we can abide by this and give you that, that, and the other. Problem being, Discord just got a giant fuck off leak of people's identities that they were supposed to be keeping secret. People who went for tech support, they had their faces and all that and messages or whatever identity that they went to them with, basically leaked to these super hackers and whatever. Apparently, the estimates is from 40,000 to 2 million identities leaked onto Discord. They were not supposed to keep faces; they kept faces, and now that they're sitting there, basically with all the hackers are sitting there with all the fucking info in the world on these people that there are. So that's going to happen through these routines as well. They're going to keep stuff, and it's going to be, as per usual, used to hack and abuse probably us when we're old and fogey. Bloody using stuff to using identities and all that as the example earlier of your fucking brother. Therefore give us the money via Bitcoin wallet. So yeah.
It'll certainly be interesting because, they say that the world is watching Australia as we prepare to roll out this program in December. By the way, it's not far away.
We led the way on eco.
Well, because, a lot of other countries are actually looking to do the same, but they're just kind of waiting to see how it goes in Australia first. Like
look at the bleeding first before you do it. Yeah, it's a really legitimate tactic. seeing what someone else does before you implement it and have your own laws saying, yeah, and from examples of where Australia fucked up or did well, we're going to carve out our laws here. We're all in agreement, and wham, they've got a more efficient system than we will have.
So, another group that is concerned is the LGBT lobby. They're saying that they're particularly concerned about LGBT teens who live in regional Australia because apparently social media is like the only form of support that they can find because they can have access to all the other resources that exist in the suburbs and the cities. Well, look, I'd say that's probably a good thing because, dare I say, that a lot of the social media that they would be connected with
is fucking cancerous.
Yes. It is probably actually encouraging very destructive behavior and decisions that they would be better off not having. Maybe they'll actually listen to their bigoted redneck parents and realize that they're not actually transgender. And this is some stupid fad that they'll just get over.
Well, yeah, if they've got the time of day for their kids. I'm reminded of the time I went back to my hometown of Lismore, probably a couple of years back, and was walking up a path near the Central Park in there next to the river. Fucking walking up this winding path, and there, one pretty normal looking person, and right next to them, person in a really fancy fucking furry outfit in the light of day, just walking down that path, passing me. Fuck me dead. The only way that person knew about that thing was the fucking internet. The only way that person got into it was that. Yeah.
Just as a little mini tangent, when Stephen found my live stream, we were watching a video on the history of Nazi furs, which was a really great time for him to jump on and be paying attention.
It was fucking hilarious.
Fuck.
It was a funny segment. Very funny segment.
Stephen, by the way, has a new book called The Real Nazis, which was sort of inspired by his time in Adelaide, in jail in Adelaide. So we'll put a link for that in the show notes if you want to check it out.
Yeah, again, Mike Knowlesy on Rumble. If you look up my interview, which is the Pang Show, during the sit-down interview with Stephen Wells, we talk in depth about what that book is about, why he wrote it, why the title, etc.
And by the way, Peng is not associated with the racer.
Yes,
just putting that out there. That is Knowlesy's solo project. It is not racer affiliated.
We do still advertise it here.
Yes. Please stop posting it on the Telegram channel. Make your own Telegram channel. Anyway. So just quickly on X or Twitter, they've been threatened with a $825,000 fine per day unless they remove 23 posts that show the murder of the Ukrainian woman by a black career criminal. So they've had these kind of threats before. Now, look, they're saying, of course, that they just don't want like gory, violent, graphic stuff on the platform. That's all.
They haven't given the slightest shit of all those fucking horrible killings of drones and fucking wacky yakety sax music as they murder people from Russia. They've fucking laughed at that and called it fucking hilarious. And now they want to cry about, it's just because it's a black person murdering the shit out of a white lady.
Because it emphasizes black on white crime.
Yep.
It's as simple as that. And they know that is actually a powerful form of propaganda as well for white nationalists. It is. Because it's very emotional,
Again, like I was pissed off when I was listening, going to work, literally listening to the ABC News shorts, and it's just like, oh yeah, the Australian government, wants to remove wants X, formerly Twitter, to remove all these videos related to a certain incident in America, and I was like, okay, that's weird. What incident in America? And I looked it up. I was like, oh yeah, that's why. Oh yeah, so our government is telling an American. Is Twitter an American company? Functionally an American company, right? Okay.
No,
telling an
South
American company what to do. South African, there we go. So
Is this
approved by
terrorism?
Twitter, approved by the ANC.
Yeah, is this fucking sarcastic terrorism where they downplay the fucking murder of that lady because they don't like the optics of her getting killed?
Well, do you remember the last time? Do you remember the last time Twitter were in trouble for this? Was when they weren't taking down the footage of that that Assyrian Orthodox priest who got stabbed in the eye.
Yes. Yeah.
Remember that? So again, it was like, okay, they had like Muslim on Christian violence. They didn't want that to be shown either because, the victim and perpetrator were the wrong ways around.
Yeah, no, the first time this ever happened to Twitter, which was actually back when it was still owned by Jack Dorsey, whatever the fuck his name was. George Floyd dancing around that convenience store while visibly high as a kite.
Oh yeah,
that was the first time breaking, wasn't it? Yeah. Oh, that got removed that time because Jack wasn't in control. Fucking parties were in control, but that was the first time that happened.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, okay, they can use the excuse of this is gore porn or whatever, but when Charlie Kirk got shot, do you know how many videos I saw on X, actually showing the footage, close up? There was so much.
Yep. Yeah, they never had a single cry about that. They're probably laughing.
Yeah.
Because, hey, conservative bloke, get fucked.
Yeah. Okay. So on gambling, Victorian councillors saying that they've missed an opportunity to minimise the harm of gambling. And this is because they've rolled out this Your Play card. So that tracks how much time and how much money you've spent on gambling. However, putting in the minimum amount, when you lose a certain amount of money, you get locked out of the system. That's voluntary. So people who may be using this card are simply using it and seeing how much they've lost, seeing how much time they've spent, but they still remain playing the pokies hour after hour, regardless, because the system doesn't actually lock them out. And, that's really the only way you can do it. These cards have to actually stop that person from being able to gamble after they've lost a certain amount of money. They don't.
And therefore, if you look at the when it comes to workplaces, the what is it? The hierarchy of safety. The you got a dangerous thing. You got exclusion, and then you've got engineering to kind of get around that thing being a danger. Third thing, what the heck is it? Be along the lines of
positive acting checking protocols, like a checklist.
Yeah, don't walk under the swiping thing.
Make sure you read this. This is a notepad that you have to read every time you touch or deal with this thing.
Fucking next one is I want to say it's PPE, kind of so you don't drop a hammer on your foot and all that. And the last one down the line that does absolutely nothing is administration. A caution sign saying, "Hey, watch out, dangerous area. Wear a hat around here," or fucking signage on the ground of where you should be walking so you don't get hit by traffic. And that's basically what we're doing. We're doing the don't get hit by traffic signage there, and not actually, isolating people from losing their fucking life savings, every single dollar they own, to the pokies. As I say, I watched my mate run around like a mental patient, picking up garbage for hours on end to go back to that virtual pokies in the video game.
Yep.
Yeah, another thing I definitely noticed about Adelaide was how many pokies there are. Like, I'm always reminded when I travel interstate. I was like, oh, wait, pokies are legal in the rest of Australia, aren't they? And whenever I see them, I see the same type of like old person pissing away their pension, and their eyes are just glued to that screen. They're truly hooked on it. They're a
Hook, line, and
scourge.
sinker. Yep. There's some lovely TikTok videos of a line of those old fogies just slapping a button, just fucking slapping that button desperately.
It's like my boomer ass parents blowing their entire like multi-generational gained wealth in 15 minutes.
So Brittany Higgins is now facing bankruptcy. That has been initiated.
Returns to nothing.
So bankruptcy proceedings have been initiated by Linda Reynolds, and she has also served bankruptcy papers to David Shiraz, who is Brittany Higgins' husband. So this is to recoup the hundreds of thousands of dollars in damages that she won, and also they have to pay for 80% of her legal fees. And her legal fees weren't cheap, by the way.
Only 80%? Is that all they're expecting to get out? Fuck.
Look, whatever way, Linda Reynolds absolutely ends up on top out of all of this. And remember, Higgins and Shiraz had to sell their house in France to be able to fund their legal costs in this case.
So don't feel sorry for them. It forced them to do one of the best economic decisions they could have ever made in their entire life.
Yeah.
Not being in France.
Devilish.
Well, they extorted millions of dollars out of the Commonwealth government, but now they've basically lost all of it because of this defamation case. And like I said, some defamation proceedings I do support, and this one I absolutely do.
It's the fucking circle of life.
Now, Linda Reynolds, who remember is a former senator for the Liberal Party, she has written to Parliament requesting that there be an investigation into the so-called Mean Girls. So these were Penny Wong and Katie Gallagher, who are, remember, they're still senators. But it was also Christina Kennealy, who, of course, is not a senator anymore because she ran for the seat of Fowler and lost against Dai Lee. So anyway, she wants an investigation into those three women, and which is about handling the allegations that she covered up a rape. And as there was pointed out in the defamation trial, that was just untrue, completely untrue. But that's what she was accused of time and time again. And she even claims that she ended up in hospital with heart problems due to the stress that she was feeling from that, being subjected to that line of questioning by those three mean girls day after day in the Senate.
They were free to say whatever the heck they wanted to her.
I doubt very much that she'll get that inquiry, though, unfortunately.
Yeah, no. Too many star players.
So thanks, guys, for joining us on another very lengthy episode.
It is officially tomorrow.
Oh, okay, in the East. Yeah, you guys have daylight savings as well. We don't have that.
My computer automatically updates. It automatically updates what it's supposed to be. So, can add it out.
So, once again, Stephen Wells's new book is called The Real Nazis. We'll put a link for that if you're interested in
available
buying
on Amazon.
It is, for the time being. And, of course, check out all our stuff at theracer.biz, and we'll see you next week.